Good now, everyone. I hope this broadcast finds you well. My name's Artorius Winchester, Scholar of the Dreaming Glade, and I'm back after a somewhat lengthy, not hiatus, more holiday, shall we say. Because in case the thumbnail or any of my, I guess, surrounding tweets and that haven't tipped you off, I've been in Japan, or I guess for lore reasons, the, dream world version of Japan, which I happen to make my way to, for the past 3 weeks or so. And yeah, it's been really great. I have a lot of photos. A lot of photos. Oh, hello there, Day. Nice to see you. Thanks for letting me know who you are. Oh. But, yeah, so I've got a lot of photos to get through. I tried to cut, I've essentially made this, little presentation thing. And I tried to cut this down to, okay, my streams normally last about 2, maybe 3 hours. I'll try and cut it down to a reasonable number of photos, because I showed, some people all of them already, and it took, 6 hours, and I was like, I can't subject people to that. Me ranting for 6 hours. So I'll try and cut the number of photos down. And I did, to my credit, but it was down to about 230. So yeah, this stream might be a two-parter. What can I say? There's a lot of stuff in Japan, as it turns out. A lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to see, a lot of stuff to talk about. But, yeah. Save me nattering on about this for ages. How about I switch over to the other screen? There we go. I should mention, actually, while I've got people actually in chat, I should probably ask again in a minute, but, I assume the audio levels are okay, they look alright on OBS. Anyone having, is anyone having trouble with this kind of setup I've got here, or should I just make the background, the presentation, full screen in the background and mess around with things? Because I was toying with the idea of doing that, but, I've got this set up, so I thought, why not use this? Because, yeah, this will probably work, but I can change it around later if I hear back from people, I suppose. Hear me fine? Excellent. Exactly what I wanted to hear. So, yeah, let me get straight into it. So, I went for about 3 weeks, like I say, last month, during the middle of Japanese summer. First thing to note, fucking hot over there, and also really humid. But yeah, I don't think we had a day, where it was under 30 degrees, Celsius, which, you'll have to forgive me, for the American crowd out there. I do not know what that is in Fahrenheit. But yeah, anyway, let me roll on with some of the photos. So, first thing we did is I, went down to Heathrow Airport in London, got a flight from there to Seoul, and then transferred from there to Japan, which was about 16 hours all told. It was long flights. And also we picked a Korean airline, which, this is a theme that will come up in a couple of bits, but, the average height of Asian people is less than people in the UK, so all the seats are tiny. I had no leg room. Just help. 86 in Fahrenheit. Got you. But yeah, but then you land in Japan, and you're greeted with the staircase that's just a bunch of Nintendo characters on it, so, you already know you're in for a good time. Loved this. Had to get a photo of this. But yeah, fun story about this, actually. The first of a few fun stories. So, me and, because I went with 2 friends, but one of them turned up a week later, because I could only get a certain amount of time off work. So we landed in this, in Tokyo Norisha Airport. Quite late at night, after, like I say, this very long flight. Quite tired. We have about, because another fun fact about Japan that we'll touch on more when we go over. Entire country, Tokyo included, shuts down at 11, half 11. Just nothing. It's even the police don't respond to things, really. It's kind of between half 11 and 4 in the morning, it's just the politest version of the purge you can imagine. So, yeah, me and my mate kind of land about, we land and get around the airport about 10, quarter past 10, after we have to declare that through written forms that there's nothing we have in customs, which is a whole other shebang, but I won't go into that. Yeah, we land in this airport, and we have to try and work out the trains to get to our place, where the reception closes at, like, 11:30. Because otherwise we haven't got somewhere to sleep for the night, and we need to sleep after those flights, because I didn't sleep on them much, and my friend didn't at all. So we go around to the bottom of Narisha Airport, we grab some train tickets, we think, we essentially go up to the guy and was like, oh, sumimasen, sorry, how the hell do we get here? And he's like, oh yeah, these couple of tickets, that'll do. I pay for them, and I'm like, yeah, fair enough, cool. I get on the train, and then I tap, like, some of my bag pockets, and I'm like, wait a second. Where the fuck's my passport? And more importantly, the folder I was carrying my passport in that also has, like, my rail pass and my SIM for getting data over there. I'm just looking like, oh no. So I get off this train, I sprint back to the ticket office, 'cause I think I must have just left it on the desk there. The ticket office says, yeah, go speak to the station master who's like about 3 meters away. I go speak to him and I'm like, I'm a dumbass, please give me my passport back if you have it. And then, yeah, so he checks my passport and he's like, okay, yeah, it's you, grab your passport. I then sprint back down to, like, the train station that's in the bottom of this, hop on the train, literally a few seconds before the doors close. And, I tell you what, I was awake after that. I was certainly awake after that. Just, like, literally frame 1, man almost loses passport. Frame 1, I'm not even technically out of the airport yet, because the train station is, like, at the bottom of the airport. Frame 1, I almost lose my passport. But yeah, we get in. It is very lucky I got it back on time, yeah. Yeah, so, like, we get into this hostel, just about scraping in at, like, 29 past 11 or something. Really keeping reception up there. Kind of collapse into bed. And go about our day the next day. So that was kind of day 0. Here's day 1. There are going to be some kind of black space on some of the images, because that's just, that's how my phone did things. Because all of these are shot just on my phone. So day 1, we're in this place. I believe the nearest station was, like, I believe it was called Shimbashi Nihonbashi. Which is a bit of a mouthful, but it's also why I remember it, so fair enough. As you can see, it's sunny, it's nice, it's, I guess it's, for being as central to Tokyo as we were, this place was, like, fairly quiet all around, No real, no real complaints about it, just a nice area, and full of plenty of konbinis, which I'll get back to, but, like, konbinis are the best thing known to man. I have also kept a diary of, like, most things I had for food there. So this is, like, my breakfast first day, just because it's what the hostel was, like, offering. It was like either this or some, like, muesli or something, and I was like, give me the whatever your attempt at a kind of English/continental breakfast is. And yeah, it was all right, really. Nothing remarkable. Wouldn't say it was particularly Japanese food, and obviously I'm there eating it with a lean knife and fork, but, like, it was something to put in my face the morning after the flight, so I can't complain about it. But yeah, after that, and after my friend had got up, we kind of worked out what we were going to do for that day. First place we went to, because we were pretty close to it, was Shibuya. Now, if anyone knows anything about Shibuya, it's got a big old crossing on. I'm trying to work out if this is a video or not. I don't think it is, no. I know I've got some videos in this. But yes, this is Shibuya Crossing. It's the Scramble Square. As you can see, it's a lot more busy around there. There's a lot more things going on. And you do just see, like it's kind of wild, the things you see over there at all hours of, like, the day. Because, like, Shibuya is one of the, like, few places where, like, even if most of the, like, establishments close, those ad boards are going 24/7. And all that signage. So you just get this, like, neon fanfare, particularly at night. And I do have some shots of it at night later. It's really pretty. But, yeah, a lot of stuff there. And also around every corner, if you ever go to Japan, prepare to see a lot of this. Gachapons. So many gachapons. Like, you couldn't walk down a high street without finding a little kind of 3-story cupboard full of these things, or they were just, like, out on the streets outside of, like, other shops. For those of you who don't know what a gachapon is, there are these machines where you put, like, a number of yen in, so, yeah, like, I think this middle one here has got a 3 next to it to be, like, 3 100 yen coins, or, this one on the right would be, like, 4 100 yen coins, so on and so forth. You put, a bit, like, some money in, you turn this wheel, and you get, like, a random one of these in, like, a little plastic ball. The plastic ball then normally contains other plastic packaging as well, because god damn it, Japan is not an environmentally friendly country. God damn. Like, I have never seen much plastic. Gacha games. I'd like to say it was a gacha game, but it's just gacha. Like, the game is you turn a wheel and put money in. But what's more, some of the gacha machines were particularly odd, I'd say. So, like, obviously you can see, like, a selection of, like, anime ones. They even got ones for, like, the taiko drums down the bottom right there, because taiko no tatsujin machines are almost everywhere. But then you have, you know, the Shoebill gacha machine. Do you want a miniature figurine Shoebill? I know I've got a friend who fucking loves Shoebills, so yes, I did roll on that, and I got the Shoebill first time at the other random 5 things you could get. Because I'm simply that good. But yeah, so there's a Shoebill gacha machine, or another one I found. Anyone want to roll the Curious George gacha machine? Because that's a thing that needed to exist, apparently. Just, okay. Sure. I don't know who's buying that, but... fair? Cute gift, yeah. I mean, you say that, Mimi. A lot of gifts I did, get for people were just like, hey, I can just roll this gachapon, and if I roll it right, that's a gift for someone. Oh. I want Curious George. You know what? Fair play. I respect it. I respect it. God, yeah, just the Curious George gacha thing cracked me up. And it's... the thing is, I don't even think that was, like, the silliest gacha I'd seen, because... oh, God, I'm trying to work out what the silliest ones were. I really like weird, tacky stuff. Don't judge me. Mimi, you should see the haul I brought back. It's all weird stuff. Like, I'm sitting here kind of slowly munching on some kind of chocolate-coated nuts that had Hololive. In fact, I've got a photo of them much later on. There's some chocolate-coated nuts that were Hololive brand for some reason. Like, I'm eating Subaru pistachios at the minute. And they're really good, to be fair, but, like... yeah, excuse me if you hear me, like, chomping on them in the background. Just to keep myself going. But yeah, so we did a bit of wandering around Shibuya. And then we went for, lunch. Japan is weird by default. True. The way, like, my friend described Japan is that it's like the 90s as it was, like, it's stuck in the 90s, but the 90s as it was imagined in, like, the 70s and 80s. So, like, oh yeah, we'll have, like, you know, these super fast, you know, Shinkansen bullet trains. And, you know, we'll have all this kind of, you know, neon advertising around Shibuya and Tokyo and that. And it'll all be very modern. But we'll still use the fax machine. And we'll still allow people to smoke indoors, but not on the streets, weirdly. You can't smoke outdoors on the streets, but you can smoke in bars. Riddle me how that one makes sense. I don't know. But yeah, next picture, after we've done that walking around Shibuya. Lunch. I had this really nice, kind of like, I can't remember if it was beef or pork now. It was a beef or pork don with like a soft-boiled egg in the middle and a bit of seaweed and some spring onions. It was brilliant. Although my friend, like, I wasn't feeling like hungry at that time, so it was like a fairly small bowl, but like it hit the spot for me. My friend had this really nice ramen. My God, that thing was transcendent. Like, that was the first like proper bit of like good Japanese food we got. And it was just for this random, like, you know, place on the corner bit in Shibuya that we just found down an alley. I'm like, it looks like it does food. But yeah, no, like, it was super cool. It was one of those places where, like, you go to a vending machine, you order some tickets, then you pass the tickets to the chefs, and they, like, bring you food about what feels like 3 seconds later. Because they cook that shit fast. Interesting thing to note about the vending machines, actually, and something I probably haven't mentioned yet. You can pay for them with these things called Suica cards. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the American analogy is for Suica cards. I know for anyone who's been near London, they're like Oyster cards, so they're the things you use to like pay for public transport, essentially. America, I don't think it's ever really had that much of a centralized public transport thing going, because it's a whole shitload bigger than the UK and Japan, which is fair. But yeah, it's like a card you put money on, and then you just tap it on like the subways, and like you tap it when you get on, you tap it when you get off, and it works out your distance and charges you for it automatically. You know, the correct amount automatically. It's great. Japan's taken that one step further, and you can also use your Suica card to like buy ramen or play an insane amount of play an insane amount of Taiko no Tatsujin, because for some reason you can use them to buy like credits on that as well. But yeah, if you're ever planning a trip to Japan, for the love of God, get a Suica card. Like, I would almost say, because what we found with travel, like, we almost kind of regretted buying our JR rail passes, because we were like, yeah, okay, we would have had to like book a couple of Shinkansen tickets here and there, but it is genuinely easier just to load up a Suica and do all the metro stuff, because you can't use the JR passes on most of the metro anyway. So, like, just get a Suica. If you need to go long distances, and, like, you're not going to, say, like, right down south to, like, Okinawa or, like, Fukuoka, or right up north to, like, Sapporo. Like, honestly, particularly with the prices of them going up, very soon, I believe, if not, haven't gone up already, then just honestly sod the rail pass. Just get yourself a Suica, load it up, and if you need, you know, the long distance Shinkansen, buy the tickets individually. It probably works out a bit cheaper. So, yes. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, Shibuya, that's it. So, Shibuya, had this lunch. Great. Loved it. Then we moved a little bit further up the road to Harajuku. And I know this is a video, so I can play this. There we are. You have to excuse the videos on this, by the way. The sound is, for some reason, out of sync with the actual video. Probably notice in a minute. Oh, no, it actually stayed in sync that time. No, it didn't. Yeah, because the videos seem to play in slightly slow motion, because I think they're a little too big for, but like, I don't know, the file size is a little too big for my thing I've got running PowerPoint, so it's just like, please, spare me, and I'm like, just play the video. But yeah, so that was a little shot, like, a little, view into a costume shop in Harajuku, which is the, like, very nutty, very popular kind of, like, fashion district. That's the only video or photo I got of it on the first, like, pass-through. I do another little pass later in the trip, where I've got a few more photos. But yeah, it was cool. A lot of very expensive, very odd clothing there. Or like if you've ever Googled Harajuku fashion, like that's the kind of thing you're expecting around there. That's the kind of thing you're getting. It's an interesting place to go, particularly on like a weekend afternoon, where like everyone's free and you're gonna be getting the full parade of like just like alternate fashion and that. Great stuff. And then we went through the main street in Harajuku, which I think begins with an F, but I've totally forgotten its name. Probably should know that one. To this shrine, which was right close by, and I also can't remember the name of it. I'm doing real bad with names at the minute. Oh, I'm gonna go look that up 1 sec. Google Maps, Harajuku. What are we looking at? I'm gonna find this. Oh, it was a super pretty place, yeah. So I believe this was Meiji Jingu. I'm not 100%, but I know it's essentially the closest one you get to the station once you come out of the big street in Harajuku that begins with an F. That's where I got that. But yeah, this shrine was super pretty. This is still one of my favorite shrines I've visited in Japan. Really, oops, that's not the right thing. Hold on. Where have I put that? Yeah, I've put that there, and I've put that there. There we go. I've messed that up again. Technical difficulties, there we are. But yeah, this is one of the prettiest shrines I've got, because obviously you had like the hustle and bustle at the Harajuku area, and like the main fashion street and that. And then you kind of come away from it into this just kind of like woodland area that's just got the shrine in. And you don't hear any of the city noises at all, like once you get through these gates, essentially. Partly because it's, you know, quite, like, it's a surprising distance away. And also partly because there's so many fucking cicadas making noise that it's just, it's unreal, the, like, the lean volume of them, shall we say. But yeah, so this shrine had a couple of cool different things, which also made it my favourite, aside from the really nice scenery. Had this kind of wall of, like, barrels of sake with, different kind of, like, you know, pictograms and inscriptions on them, which is cool to look at. It also had this, kind of tree with a bunch of wooden placards on them. Which, like, I believe you bought them from somewhere, and then you wrote, like, a wish on them, and then you just, like, hung them there. Which was very cool, because you got to see some, like, very, you know, endearing messages. You get, like, oh, can I, you know... So a couple of ones I found that were actually in English here is like, oh, improve my craft, you know, health my family and that. And there were a couple of funny ones as well. Like, I have a particular respect for this man right here. Wah, indeed. Oh. Wah, indeed. But yeah. And then there were other bits of the shrines which we weren't allowed to photograph, which isn't, you know, entirely fair. It's a religious thing. That, and I've also cut down the number of photos I've taken for the sake of, you know, some brevity, because I'm aware I'm not even really through day one, and we're 20 minutes in, and I'm like, Jesus, I have like 21 of these fuckers to go. Oh no. I should have to maybe rein in the tangents a little bit. But yeah, went around that Meiji Jingu, I believe it's called. Great. Good shrine, liked it. So then, I believe... I'm not sure what we got for, like, dinner in the evening. I'm not sure we had much because, like, the don and the ramen of my friend had filled us both up quite a lot. So we might just have grabbed, like, an onigiri from, like, a konbini and just called it there and, like, moved on. And we moved on to Shinjuku, or specifically, Golden Gai. Now, for those of you who don't know what Golden Gai is, you can always do a part 2. I'm very much planning on it at this point. Because, yeah... Like I say, I showed some other people all my photos, and that took about 6 hours. I'm like, I'm not holding people here for 6 hours. I'm not streaming for 6 hours. I gotta do stuff tomorrow. So yeah, I'm hoping with the cut down photos I can fit this into like 2 streams maybe. Next one will probably be next week at some point. Also, I've just realised I've been playing my normal BGM, but I did, actually, you know what? I'll get to the end of the day, and then maybe each day I'll change it. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Because I found some other things that might be fitting. But yeah, so anyway, this photo here, this is a place in Shinjuku called Golden Gai. And if you don't know what Golden Gai is, it's about 3 or 4 quite narrow, like, alleys that are chock full of these tiny, tiny little bars. You know, they seat about 4 to 5 people each. And... they're, you know, like, the idea is you go in, you have a chat with, you know, whoever's there. It's a very kind of, like, intimate bar experience, I guess. And a bunch of them are themed around different stuff. Like, we'll see a couple of the themed ones later on. But, yeah. If you're in Shinjuku, or if you're in Japan at all, and you're in, like, near the Tokyo area, get yourself down to Shinjuku, go have a couple of drinks in Golden Gai at, like, whatever bar takes your fancy, because there will be one. One's themed around blooming everything. It's a fantastic little place, and also, you know, you get a nice kind of one of these. I guess I was going for, you know, the shot where, like, you have the typical kind of, like, you know, neon Tokyo shot where it's just cross beams of stuff everywhere. But yeah, this is kind of like a more humble variant of that. As opposed to the next photo, which is a significantly less humble look at Shinjuku's big what do you call it? Presence, we'll say. Yeah, like, just, you come out of Golden Gai, you know, walk around a few corners, and suddenly you hit the main street, and oh boy, just neon paradise. Like, so much going on there. Because despite like a lot of the establishments close, well, I say a lot. Like, most of them do around 11:30, and then there's a couple that will stay on till like the wee hours of the morning. But the problem is, the metro shuts down at 11:30, so unless you live near them, or you're going to do an all-nighter until like 4 or 5 in the morning, it ain't happening, chief. Like, story about that later as well, actually. But yeah, I really do, like, I got quite a few shots of this street, and I picked this one out as like the best one. But yeah, this place was just immense to stand in. But yeah, after that, buggered off back to our place we were staying, fell asleep, got up the next day. So, day 2. Which means I'm gonna go switch the music over. Let me see. What shall I have on? Let's have, a bit of this. Ooh. There we go. Yeah, so, day 2. And again, if the background volume's up or down a bit, let me know. Because I switched audio source there, but hopefully it should be fine. Yeah, so day 2. We got up, we were going to Sensoji Shrine in Asakusa. First thing here, and we hadn't had breakfast yet. I didn't fancy the hostel breakfast again after trying like the god tier stuff that was yesterday's lunch. So, we sat down in this little soba bar. I have a story about this. So, it was one of those like ticketing places again. But this one was a bit small, so you had to actually, like, have your tickets and then, like, talk to the guy to make sure that, you had your, you had your order right and whether you wanted your soba hot or cold and that. I got through enough of a conversation that he asked me in I think he asked me in Japanese, oh, you speak Japanese? But, like, I only got that from inference because I slightly misheard him. And then my fucking dumbass went, pardon? And I'm like, no, I've ruined it. I could have actually spoke to someone in Japanese and, like, had it work. But, yeah, I fucked it. I mean, it's not a bad, it's not a bad milestone for day 2, I guess. But, I was kicking myself for that one for a while. Another thing we were both kicking ourselves for is that we obviously went to this nice soba place, had this, so soba noodles, good broth here, bit of seaweed, bit of tempura chicken, some other stuff. We asked for the because we're British. We're like, oh, it's noodles. These must come hot, right? So yeah, we'll ask for it hot. Turns out when you're in the middle of Asakusa, in the heat on a busy morning, you don't want your soba noodles hot. You want them cold to cool you down. Because we ate this hot and it was great tasting, but we were like, yeah, for a breakfast option, this was probably a mistake. So, whoopsie. Good food. Stupid travelers. We'll chalk that one up too. So anyway, after our breakfast, we walked kind of towards Sensoji Shrine. Past the Asahi building, which is this kind of one, like, it's kind of the black monolith with this gold flame on it. It's a very iconic building. It's, comes up in a few of these photos, just because you can kind of see it in the background because of how, unique it looks. So I thought I'd point it out now, but yeah, it was on the way there. And then we walked up to the gates of the Sensoji Shrine. Now, gotta be honest, out of all the shrines we visited in Japan, this is my least favourite. Not because it was bad, but because it was a bit too much for me, I think. It was very, well, I can probably explain on the next photo, actually. So leading up to it, you had all these stalls selling all sorts of different, bits of tat and whatnot. Like, and it just felt very, like, I know, obviously, I'm hitting most of the touristy spots, because it's my first time in Japan. I'm going to, tick off the things everyone says you have to have seen at least once, But, like, this, this bit in particular, which is like all these stores and all these people, between the gates of the shrine and the shrine proper, just felt very weird to me. and very, like, you know, a bit, too many people. I'm not really about this. I mean, there were some cool bits of the shrine. So, for example, in the big gates, you generally find a lot of, like, these statues of Buddhist gods, which is an odd concept, because I think it shows Japan's unique relation with religion. Because those of you who know anything about Buddhism know that Buddhism doesn't have gods. Because it's like one guy sat under a tree for a while and found enlightenment. Which is a gross oversimplification of it, but that's my understanding anyway. Like, it's just too commercy for trying. Exactly my point. Yeah, it was a bit too commercy, like, too touristy almost. But yeah, like, you know, still some very pretty things there. So you have these Buddhist gods, which are, I think, to do with the fact that Japan has a lot of Shintoism, which has gods, and then it got a lot into Buddhism, kind of earlier in its history, which doesn't. And they've kind of meshed the two, so now they have Buddhist gods. It's probably an interesting, like, line of things to follow back, because they had, like, I think the technical story is, like, they had a version of Buddhism, then they had Shintoism, and then they had another version of Buddhism called Zen Buddhism, which was like Buddhism but more spiritual, and then they kind of like grandfathered the Shintoism gods into that. It's odd, but hey, it means we get, you know, these super buff dudes in a bunch of the shrines, so we'll take that. And for the religions as a whole, we also get these being kick-ass like shrines and pagodas and stuff. So this was up at Sensoji, that was great. And also, this is one of the few temples that we were allowed to take photos of the inside of, so you can see all of this, like, you know, golden, like, you know, lighting fixtures and other, like, ornaments and that. Set up, like, worship here, which I got the best photo of that I could, but I was getting very peopled out by this point. Like, there was a lot of, you know, there's just a lot of people in the way, which when you're on a really hot day and you've only been there 2 days, it's like, this is a bit much. Ooh. Hello, I forgot to set that to loop, so we've got a different bit of music now, alright? Cool. But yeah, so, this, like, Sensoji was cool. But I think after that morning, we were like, me and my friend both were like, yeah, that's a bit much. We're gonna move along, do something else. One thing I did get before I left, though, was this kind of wide-angle shot. I like taking panorama shots. This is one of a few, like, you know, whenever there's a decent opportunity for. So this is one of quite a few that I've taken across this holiday. Once again, you get the Asahi building. This kind of view of the river leading from the Asahi building to Sensoji. Some of the, you know, the kind of docks and, well, not docks, but like some of the moored up boats around there as well. I just thought it looked really pretty. So I got a photo of it. That's gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Expect a few more of them. Because like I say, I do like trying to take a decent panorama. But yeah. So then, what were we going to do after that? Yeah, we did Sensoji, then I believe our plan was to try and go to the Tokyo Dome, because it had some roller coasters on my friend wanted to see, and it was also like the HoloLive city at the minute, like they're taking it over for the month we were there, and I was like, cool, I want to see some HoloLive stuff, I'm a VTuber nerd. And then we found out that for some reason it was closed that day. So you're like, oh, okay, weird. So we looked around for something else to do instead. And we hit upon going back to Shinjuku instead, but this time in the day, to a place called Kabukicho. Now, if that name doesn't ring any bells, you may also know this place as Kamurocho. And if you don't know what Kamurocho is, it's, if you've ever played a Yakuza game, it is exactly that map. Like, Kamurocho, in the Yakuza series of video games, is directly, like, down to the finer details, down to most of the finer details, based off of Kabukicho. To the point where if you've played a Yakuza game, which me and my friend both have, you can work your way around Kabukicho by your knowledge of Kamurocho. So, you know, obviously we had to go there once. And yeah, you can. I have been in the very same Don Quixote now that I've seen in the game. This shop was just kind of like on one of the corners of Kabukicho, which I'm going to have to try and mentally not call Kamurocho now anyway. And yeah, it's just a lot of things you wouldn't see anywhere else, I think. Just like, yeah, giant pachinko parlor with like Eva advertisements and like Fist of the North Star and some other stuff. And this clown thing that was on like a bunch of the slot machines. Yeah, slot machines and pachinko in a country where gambling is illegal, by the way. For those of you who don't know, actually, yeah, so pachinko is... It's kind of like this... It's like pinball. You have ball bearings, you put them into this machine, like the machine fires them, and depending on what kind of, like, bits of the machine they land in, you get different things back. And it works a lot like pinball machines. And they also have slots. However, if you put money directly in either of those machines... Well, I'm not sure about the slots, but definitely the pachinko machines is like the classic example. You can't do that. That's gambling. That's illegal. So the way every pachinko parlor gets around this... Ooh, hold on. Oh boy. 1 second. I've just noticed that my OBS has started shitting itself. Come on. Chotomate kudasai. Oh. Actually, no, I'll keep that going just in case this ends up on the VOD. Am I still coming through okay? I mean, I guess YouTube looks like I'm coming okay. They're okay now. My OBS is still throwing a bit of a fit. Ah, no, there we are. We're back, I think. Just to confirm, are we back? Well, I shall keep talking and assume it's, I guess, a yes for now. But yeah, where was I? Pachinko parlors, yeah. Okay, we're back, good. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry about that. My internet just decided to take a nosedive for a second there, or at least according to my OBS. Don't you start doing it again now. There we go. Keep an eye on that thing. Right, so pachinko parlors. You can't put money in the pachinko machines, which are the kind of pinball machines, but not really. Because that's gambling. Gambling's illegal. So what you do is you go to a completely separate establishment, we promise, next door. You exchange money for ball bearings. You then take those ball bearings to the pachinko parlor, and you put them in the machines, and you, like, you know, get however many ball bearings back if you're good at it. You then take those ball bearings back next door, and resell them for money and or prizes. And that's fine, because the place that buys and sells the ball bearings and the pachinko parlor are two separate legal entities. And it is by far the stupidest legal loophole that I've ever heard of that is actually used. It's ridiculous. Like, it's... What, like... I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Like, I've told that story so many times about the pachinko parlors, but it still boggles me. Just like, how is that allowed? When it's so blatant. Oh. Oh god, it's madness, it's madness. But yeah, so did some walking around Kabukicho. Got this shot of this interesting lamppost, which I wanted to take because, you know, it's light shining down on mirrors and they all reflect out, which is like, oh, I've never seen that before. What I also unintentionally caught in this photo, however, is that to get around Tokyo, you cannot look around Tokyo. Like, around left to right doesn't work. To really find stuff in Tokyo, you gotta look up. So, like, you can see some examples of, like, these tall buildings. And they've all got, like, different things on the side because each, like, floor of, like, some of the buildings are, like, completely different establishments. So you can have this 10-story building and have it be like, okay, the basement is, like, a bar. Like, first floor's a restaurant, second floor's a laundrette, third floor's, like, a... I don't know, like, a DVD rental space. You know, 5th floor's another bar, 6th floor's a restaurant, 7th floor is probably a brothel, don't go in there. 8th floor is like something else, like a hairdresser's. It's like, there's so many different little things, like, stacked on top of each other. Like, they've made really good use of the space, but, like, if you're not used to how it works, it's like, having to look up a lot is a novel experience, shall I say. And you find this, like, all over Tokyo. And bits of Osaka as well, to be fair, but I think it's mainly a Tokyo thing. Didn't see much of it in Kyoto, but that's because Kyoto's a very different beast, I feel. So yeah, anyway, in part of our walking around Kabukicho, we found Kabukicho Tower, which looked like it had some interesting things on, so we went in. This was not the bottom floor, because the bottom floor was a hotel, but this was like the next floor up, which was like this restaurant thing. Lots of neon again. I just thought, again, this is a cool shot of all this. Like the floor above it, you can probably see by the Bandai Namco icons, was like this, there's a small arcade, like a bunch of gachapons, because they're everywhere. Some crane games, a couple of Taiko no Tatsujin machines, because of course they're everywhere. Although not as everywhere as the gachapons, admittedly, but still pretty everywhere. Like, if you have an arcade, there is at least, like, 2 Taiko no Tatsujin machines in it, minimum. No getting around it. And then we went to the next floor up, and we found something very surprising, actually. We found this kind of, like, VR/AR experience thingy that we could participate in. All based around Sword Art Online. Which, I know, you know, please, hold the tomatoes you're about to throw at me. But this stuff was actually very cool. And I can now legitimately say that I have played Sword Art Online, for whatever that's worth. It was... So, like, I'll try and explain it a bit. So... Oops. Kicked my desk. You stepped into these pods. You had these little kind of, like, sword hilt things. That acted as, like, scanners for opening doors and that. So, you would, like, you'd get into these pods, you'd tap to, you know, you and 2 other people, because it was me, my friend, and one other guy who we just kind of met at the hostel. Well, met kind of like, yeah, at the hostel, I think, yeah. And then, we were just like, yeah, we'll go here, because it's a cool-looking tower. We needed 3 people for this. We were like, banging, we're in. So yeah, we all tapped into this. You tap in with your little sword hilt thing they give you on the side, and then on these like little back doors. And these back doors open up to this kind of big like maze of like stuff to do. I want to say like my best description of it, and apologies for those of you who haven't seen this show, but it was kind of like the Crystal Maze, which is a very old kind of like game show type thing. With like a bunch of challenges in different rooms. It was very much like that, but obviously all Sword Art Online themed. And the first 2 bits I really enjoyed. The third bit I did also enjoy, but it's very clear by the third bit that like they were trying to like kick people out. It's like, okay, we're gonna just like crank up the difficulty by a lot here. So you have to like pay to try again. So you lose all your lives and you have to pay to try again to like come back through. Yeah. So, oops, there we go. Hit my scroll wheel. So yeah, very fun, and I can say that I've done that now. Which is, yeah, it's nice. Then I think there wasn't really anything much else interesting on the other floors, aside from there was this kind of, like, balcony on the roof, where I got a good view of the city, you know? It was alright, so it's just me standing there with my pistachio and chocolate, gelato. Yeah, it was good. This balcony wasn't like all the way on the top of the tower. There was like another bunch of floors that went up, but they weren't like open to the public. So this is like the highest the public could get to. But still, pretty good view. And I guess on the subject of pretty good views in Kabukicho and that, I also got this one. It's not my best shot of this, but I couldn't find my best shot of this, which was annoying. But, like, this is kind of like a film theater in Kabukicho, and you can probably just see at the top there, Just a little bit of Godzilla poking his head out. At least I hope you can. I'll have to double check how it looks on. Yeah, you can totally see it. Just little Godzilla, just... Well, I say little. He was bloody huge, obviously. It's on top of a building, but... You know. He was just sitting there. It was very cool. It was like, yeah, you know. This makes a lot of sense. So then, anyway, I believe we went back to, where did we go next? I can't remember if we went back to the place we were staying or just went straight out. Because, we were going to try and meet some other people. But again, we just kind of, like, briefly chatted to in a hostel and like, hey, do you want to go for a night out? You know, got a bunch of lads said sure, so on a night out we went. So we walked back through, this is still near Kabukicho, I think, but again, more of the kind of neon kind of crosswalk shot that I was looking for. And also, if you look at some of the stuff on the sides of the street, like particularly on the right there, emphasizes how there's just different shit on every floor of these buildings. It's, you've got to look up in Tokyo, you really do. Because the place we were looking for to meet these lads and go and eat was like the 5th floor of some building. And it was this really nice izakaya. Now, an izakaya is essentially like, well, I'll show you a picture of it, actually. It's this kind of a thing. So, you have this kind of booth that you have to take your shoes off before you get into. You kind of get a bunch of people in there. So this is before, like, I got in there first. My friend had to, like, go to the loo, I think. And then the other people hadn't shown up yet. They did, after a little bit, but, like, they hadn't shown up yet. So I was just like, ooh, I'm going to take a photo of this booth while there's no one in it. Oh, yeah, but see, you all climb in here. There's this little iPad they have, and you just tap on it, like, you know, what you want, food and, you know, drink-wise. Japan are very fond of their highballs. Like, generally, there's two alcoholic drinks you can always get on a menu anywhere. At least alcoholic ones. In Japan, you can always get a beer, no questions asked. And you can always get a highball, which is like, it's just like whiskey and soda. In fact, you can see a black highball poster, on this image, actually, which is kind of fortuitous, given I just started talking about them and didn't even notice that. Oh. But, yeah. 1 second. Yeah. But yeah, so, yeah, you have this little iPad and you just, you know, tap whatever you want and people bring them to you and you can keep going for, well, as long as you keep paying them, really, but, like... yeah, they're meant to be good, like, you know, you have this little booth and you have a good chat with, you know, the people you're there with. It's a good communal kind of like drinking experience, I guess. This was the start of actually a long night for all of us. Because we started drinking at this place. Then we went over to, Shibuya. And again, this is the picture of Shibuya at night. This is some truly, top quality stuff. You can see, like, obviously it's still pretty busy in the evening. But the neon kind of really kind of brings, well, I say the neon, just the general lighting brings a whole different, you know, vibe to it than the day shots I got. And, yeah. Sorry, I should probably stop eating these nuts mid-sentence. I've only got 3 left, actually, so that will solve that problem fairly soon. But yeah, so anyway, Shibuya. After the izakaya, we drank in there, came out, got this beautiful view of Shibuya at night, headed down to one of the konbinis, and bought a couple of cans of Strong Zero, because it's what you do. For those of you who don't know what Strong Zero is, it's a like canned alcoholic beverage that you can get from any, like, you know, konbini in Japan. It says it's 9%, so you think, oh, this is fine, I can, you know, have a couple of these, no problem. No, you fucking can't. I don't know what they do to that thing, but it doesn't feel like 9%. Like, 2 of those and I was gone. Like, 2 of the tall ones, admittedly, but 2 of those after that izakaya, I was just completely gone. Like, they call it the Gaijin Killer over there for a reason. What can I say? It's a potent drink. But yeah, so after we kind of admired this for a bit, did a bit of wandering around, did a bit of hopping to some bars, and ended up in this one where I just took a picture of this, like, VTuber concert going on at, like, 2 a.m. Which I thought was hilarious at the time. To be fair, I still kind of do. But, yeah. There's things you would never see in bars anywhere else, really. But those of you, I guess, eagle-eared? Is that a term? Well, those of you who are paying attention there will have noticed that I just said, yeah, we got to this bar at 2 a.m. This is where me and my friend learned the hard lesson about the entire country shutting down at 11:30. Because we were like, alright, we've had our night out. Let's try and, use the, use the metro to get home. No trains for like another 2 or 3 hours. We're like, huh. Okay, that's not ideal. You know what, it's probably just quicker to walk it back. So we set off at 2 a.m. to walk back to our hostel. We got in at 5:30. We walked 3.5 hours through the middle of Tokyo in the night. We are stupid. Okay, that's really the only follow-up to that. Just like, ow. So yeah, we got on at 5:30. We collapsed a bit. Which ate the first half of the next day. Made us a bit limited on time. Which is kind of a shame, because this day was one of my favourites, despite the fact it was only a half day. Because day 3 was Enoshima, and before we get there, I'm changing the music again. Just so we can keep it going here. Oh yeah, this one's beachy, I think. Yeah, that'll do. So, yeah. So this was one of the train stations to Enoshima. For some reason, everything along this line had, my friend recognized it. I can't remember if this was like Bunny Girl Senpai or, Rent-A-Girlfriend. Every station along this line had a different character from this anime on it. And I was like, oh, alright, sure. So that was kind of weird and funny, I guess. Yeah, and we moved into Enoshima proper anyway. This is another kind of like panoramic shot that I tried of like the surrounding area. This is about an hour-and-a-half train journey down from like central Tokyo where we were staying. Because it's on the coast. So it's a bit quieter out here. Bit smaller, but God was it beautiful. Like, this is one of my favourite bits of the trip for a reason. So there's a couple of things to do in Enoshima. One, there's this bridge over to this big island which has got like a bunch of shrine related paraphernalia on it, I should say. It's like an actual shrine, but then there's a whole walk around this small like island off the coast that there's a bridge to. That you can do if you want. We didn't really have the time, obviously, because of the aforementioned, getting up kind of early afternoon because we went to bed at 5:30, like fucking clowns. But, yeah, had we had a bit more time, we might have explored that a bit more. But, we did walk up there. We got some food at the base of this kind of, like, climb up the island as well. And what better of a breakfast/lunch to have than some fried squid? Which was really nice, gotta be honest. Definitely unusual. Just, very simple. Fried squid, soy sauce, bish bash bosh. Pretty good, though. Gonna be honest, I approve. But, I won't keep it on screen for too long, because I know it can weird some people out. So I will skip straight ahead to, Yeah, so again, like I say, I can't... This is another one of the shrines that I can't remember the name of. I just know it's like the one on the outer island of Enoshima. Was it really squishy? No, squid's a bit different like that. It's that squid, like, as far as fish goes, actually kind of more on the, like, chewier end of things. I quite like it, but it's not for everyone. Where was I? Oh, yeah, that's it. This shrine that I got a couple of photos of. And like I say, it's the main shrine. There's a bunch of, like, shrine-related buildings and that, or, like, mini-shrines, all the way on the walk around this island. It was, like I say, it was really pretty, and I kind of wish I had a bit more time to walk around it, but, you know, we did with what time we had, what we could. So yeah, there's another little kind of like shrine-related building. You get loads of these around here. All to this, you know, the beautiful backdrop of like, you know, the kind of forests on the island and like the sea, obviously. That was great. Here's a photo of some ice cream I got. Fun animal fact: this was called denim ice cream. Why they decided to go with that name, I'm not sure. But yeah, denim ice cream, everyone. For what it's worth, because it was, well, not because it was blue, but it was blue and it tasted like bubble gum, so I didn't know why they didn't just call it bubble gum, but hey, denim ice cream has stuck with me more, so I guess their marketing, you know, marketing's doing something, right? And then, oh yeah, and then coming up next after the denim ice cream is probably my, oh. Okay, well that's a bit of a... No, you're not actually. No, go back to this. I've got to stop setting these things to autoplay to random tunes before it plays something that's like accidentally copyright. But yeah, this is one of my favourite shots of Enoshima. You can see the big island off the coast and some of the docks. You can see this beach. And this beach was fantastic, by the way. Like, the waves were huge. The weather was great. Bunch of people on there were, like, super friendly. I got another kind of, like, wide shot of it here. Which looks a bit distorted, but I think gives you a good idea of kind of, like, you know, what it was like. God, I love this place. If you're gonna be in Japan, then, like, go, like, yeah. Words. What am I trying to say here? Like, I'd say make time for a day to just spend around Enoshima. Loved it. One of my favorite bits of the trip. But then, yeah, I'll quit harking on about it because we are on somewhat of a time limit to get through stuff. Like, I want to get to at least like day 10 by the end of this. Maybe I can get to the end of Osaka. That might be good. No, I'll say day 10. Get to at least day 10, and I can do the other 10 or 11 days in the future. So yeah, we went to Enoshima, and it was fantastic. We then kind of got the train back to a hostel, and my friend, who is built fucking differently, like, in the nicest possible way, he is constructed incorrectly, said, hey, do you want to, you know, go out and get some drinks? And I was like, my brother in Christ, we stayed up till 5:30 this morning drinking. I'm gonna pass. If you want to go out, you go for it. I'm not doing that shit again. So he went out, got some food out, and, you know, went out drinking again. I was once again in the kind of like in the lap of the konbinis. Because for those of you who don't know, konbinis, which are like Japanese convenience stores, have everything you could need in them, essentially. Like, you want a fairly cheap, you know, cheapish breakfast option. They've got loads of pastries in there. Admittedly, it's all Japanese bread, so it's like all very sweet stuff. Or you can get for like 200, 300 yen, which is about £1.50. Not really sure what it works out to in, like, dollars. I guess it's like $2 or $3. Just like a box of fried chicken. And it's fantastic. The Lawson's one mostly, and I will fight people on that one. Lawson's is the best of the konbinis. There's 3 of them in Japan. There's 7-Eleven, there's Family Mart, and there's Lawson's. Lawson's is the best. Has the best fried chicken because it doesn't. It's the least greasy, I'd say. Like the other 2 I tried just spat grease at me when I bit into them, and like that's a bit too much. The Lawson's one was good though. Has all the best collabs. It's like, the only place where you're gonna find the HoloLive stuff or the Miku. Well, no, it's not the only place you're gonna find HoloLive or Miku stuff, but it's the only Konbini you're gonna find them in. Or yeah, there's this special one in Osaka, but I'll save that for a bit. And then, yeah, I'd probably say 7-Eleven's the second best, and then Family Mart's, like, my least favorite. But at the end of the day, a Konbini is a Konbini. You're going to go in there, and you're going to find, fried chicken, bottles of water, which you're going to need about 17 of. And you're going to find these things. Miku mentioned, chat's woken up. Yep. There is Hatsune Miku, like, cross Lawson's collabs. I didn't actually see any of them, to be fair. But I saw at the, one of the other things that I went to that it was a thing. So whether it's something they're doing in the future or not, I don't know. But this is why Lawson's is the best one. Every Konbini, however, will have these things where you can essentially buy, like, a ready meal from the back. And the cashiers will, like, say, it's her birthday today. Fun fact. It is, actually, isn't it? I thought it was recent. Because I know, well, yeah, again, we'll come on to that a bit later. But, stay tuned for more Miku-related news. But, yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, that's it, these. So, ready meals in the back of Konbinis. So if you can't be, bagged to go out and find something for your dinner properly, you can just, what's the word? Yeah, you can essentially go to a Konbini. You can pick out one of these ready meals at the back. And then take it up to the cashier and say, like, hey, can you just, like, heat this up for me? And they'll go and nuke it for you. So you just have a, like, they just hand you, like, piping hot meal. I had one that was like, God, I'm really losing the plot here, sorry. One day I'll get through a sentence. I had one that was, what was it again? It was, that was it. It was like stir-fried noodles and pork. And it was actually, like, really good for, like, what, 300, like, 350 yen? Can highly recommend Konbini dinners if you are absolutely knackered. Or even if you're not, to be fair, even if you don't fancy, like, walking around a lot. But yes, that kind of brought my day to a close. I got an early night. My friend wasn't out as late as last night. They'd learnt the lesson. To, not be out past 11, really. Otherwise, all the trains shut down, and then you get to enjoy the 3-hour walk back from Shinjuku to the place where we were staying. But, yeah. We got up next day, and we went to Tsukiji on day 4. Let me just do a quick music change. I'm feeling a bit of this, I think. There we go. I think this fits. Right. So, Tsukiji. For those of you who don't know what's so special about Tsukiji, huge fish market. More specifically, actually, it used to be a huge, like, kind of raw fish market. Like, there used to be, like, tons of stuff that was, like, caught that morning, essentially, being sold there. And then a bunch of restaurants and stuff popped up around it to, make use of the stuff that had been caught that morning. So you could have, like, the freshest, like, sushi and fish-based dishes and that. It was all very good. And then the pandemic happened. And the actual raw fish bit of it kind of moved a couple of kilometers down the road. So what you have left in Tsukiji is just all these really nice, kind of, like, quite quaint stalls that use super fresh fish. And, a bunch of other stuff. So you got, like, various kinds of, like, seaweed and dried squid on this one. And a bunch of other stuff, which I'll be honest, I cannot identify. You can see, another one there, just them prepping, like, the stuff in front of you. Although, as cool as this shot is of this guy, prepping, like, bits of fish and that. I'm actually gonna pause the music a minute for some effect, because we've yet to meet my favorite guy in all of Tsukiji. Again, excuse the fact the video is going to be slightly slower than the sound here, but this man, I'll let him speak for himself. My man was really just doing these, like, he was selling these tuna skewers, but, like, he was really just there, you know, having a great time, yelling at the top of his lungs, dual-wielding blowtorches onto this, like, pan full of, like, tuna skewers and oil, while, like, Do You Believe in Life After Love was blasting out the side. Like, loves this man. Oh. Truly, a hero of our time. And also, tuna skewers were real fucking good. Like, holy shit, these were good. Like, it's so simple. It's just like a couple of chunks of good quality tuna on a skewer. Has a little thing where you can put some, like, lemon juice and black pepper on them. Oh, they were good. Oh, loved them. This man is like to say he's only, like, the third biggest hero of this entire trip shows you how nice some of the people in Japan are. But yeah, this man takes an easy top 3. Like, favorite people I saw in Japan. Like, loved his tuna skewers so much that, I mean, again, we did a bit of a retour of Tokyo on some of the later days. And I absolutely went back to his stall and bought a couple of tuna skewers. Because, yes, you know, love watching him work, love his food. Other things that are being sold at Tsukiji, though, anyway, aside from these tuna skewers, you still get a lot of raw stuff, so, hey, you want some raw king crab? You can have a claw. You want some raw sea urchin? Which is something I've never even considered eating before, but hey, you can have that. You can eat that. You want? Yeah, a lot of interesting fishy-related foods there. But yes, then anyway, after we'd done a bit of looking around at Tsukiji, we moved on to we moved en route to the Shinjuku Gyoen National Garden, I believe it was called. Oh, have we gone back to? Never mind. Actually, you know what? What about this? No. This'll do, yeah. Make sure I've got autoplay off. I mean, local man forgets to set autoplay off once again. For anyone who's wondering where all this music except the first track comes from, by the way, I've linked the channel down in the description. Go check them out. They're doing some really nice remixes of old Pokemon music, in case you haven't picked up on it. And yeah. I believe their name is, I'll get it right now, it's Zame or Zame, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Yeah, link in the down there bit. So yeah, we were en route to the Shinjuku National Gardens. Don't worry about that, that's just something I found on the way. I'm sure I won't come back to it at all. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see there at all. So anyway, National Gardens. This place was also super pretty, as you might expect. I got a good number of shots in here. In fact, I specifically got a lot of shots in here because I have a relative who is quite an old guy now, but he really likes his flowers, and he's also always wanted to go to Japan. So I took a lot of photos of, like, the flowers and the scenery there. Like, there's one greenhouse bit we went into. I took hundreds of photos. I was going to put them all together for him, and, oops. I was going to put all the photos together for him and, you know, give him, say, like, hey, I did this, thought you might be interested in all these. I thought it'd be a nice thing to do for him. You know, he's too old to get over there himself, so this is probably the next best thing at this point. But yeah. So, more shots from... So this was actually a little kind of like, I believe it's a Taiwanese style building here. And then we got a photo of the surrounding areas while we were stood inside that building. We also stayed and sheltered inside that building for a bit because, as you can probably tell by the clouds, it started pissing it down, raining quite heavily. So yeah, huddled in there for a bit, dodged out whenever we could to grab some photos of the landscapes. Here's another wide shot I did, where you can see like the National Gardens and just like the towering buildings in the background. Which is it's a funny contrast, I think. Yeah, I'm actually, this is probably one of the better panorama shots I've got. I think, like, normally I don't like the curvature warping you get on panoramic shots, but on this it works really well. Because the path is kind of curved anyway, I suppose. But yeah, wow, what a shot, what a shot. Then we went for lunch. So we wanted to go to a curry place. Like, we haven't had a Japanese curry yet. They're a thing. We went to, like, again, the basement of some random building. That said it was a curry place. We're like, okay, yeah, we'll have, like, this strength curry with this, yada, yada, yada. What we ended up getting was the following. So it was this, like, kind of curry ramen, but minus the noodles. So it's like a curry broth kind of thing. Had like a bunch of like vegetables in, some bits of meat, some egg, a bunch of rice with it. And I've got to be honest, it wasn't what I was expecting, but it was really nice. I can highly recommend. Yeah, lovely this, and also good selection of vegetables in it, which is kind of a rarity in Japan. Like vegetables as a whole, like I'd say I'll get onto this later, but it's like one of the last photos, so I'll just say now. Otherwise, I might not mention this until next stream. Implying I won't mention it then as well, but hey-ho. So, Japan has this obsession where each region of Japan has to be, like, the best at something. Like, it has to have this specialist product, almost. So, the Wagyu prefectural area, I forget, wherever, is, like, known for its beef. And there's one other quite famous one that's, like, known for its strawberries. So, like, a lot of different areas do this, where they say, we must be the best at this thing. And then as soon as one of them gets acknowledged as, like, being the best at growing, strawberries or beef or whatever, every other prefecture or area of Japan goes, well, fucking sod that then, we've got to find something else to be good at. Which means you have exactly one area growing these things, which is, for the stuff that's grown everywhere, like, rice, noodles, a lot of the meats, weirdly, like pork, and chicken, and eggs, not a problem. You can get them cheap as chips anywhere. You want a fucking vegetable? My guy, you have to, they only come from either imports, or from this one specific area that will charge you, like, a ridiculous amount. So, I think the example is, like, like, it's made me come to realize that, like, if you've ever seen in any kind of anime or, Japanese kind of like, like, or video game or, media of that nature, how, like, it's a big deal. It's like, wow, get, like, all of your friends and family in the extended town over, we're buying a watermelon. And you really think, like, what's the big deal with that? It's a watermelon. And then you realize that, oh, wait, it's a big deal because a watermelon is like 150 quid over there. Like, this is getting on for, like, around, what, like, 170, like, dollars or something. I don't know the exact conversion rate, but it's an insane amount for a watermelon. Like, a proper, like, big one. It's just like, what? Excuse me? Like, vegetables are, for a country that, like, is hot on its, like, tofu, and can do vegetables, reasonably well, good vegan and vegetarian food is actually, like, so hard to find. $190. If that's the conversion, then yeah, but like, literally, fruit and veg, because it's either only grown in one place, or they had to get it imported, costs shitloads. So, like, looking back on this, I didn't appreciate the vegetables in this at the time. But God, I would have, like, about 2 weeks in, I would have praised the heavens for something like this. Or just, like, a fucking salad or something. Like, literally, these motherfuckers are gonna, like, try and charge me, like, 150 quid for a watermelon. I'm like, bro, I just want a fruit salad. Like, without, you know, having to take out a mortgage, please. Oh. It's, yeah. Well, one thing I definitely learned over there is that, like, if you're going, then, be prepared to hunt around for stuff with fruit and veg in it. At least decent quantities of fruit and veg. Like, you know, everyone will throw spring onions on something, or maybe some green beans if you're lucky, and then say, oh yeah, it's got fruit and veg in it. But, like, if you want a proper, like, a vegetarian dish, you're gonna have to hunt around and potentially pay the big bucks. So yeah, anyway, after this quite nice lunch, I'd like to say I dragged my friend back to that Hololive thing that I, mentioned earlier, because I had a little pop-up shop and some little figurines and stuff. So we have, like, Miko, Flair, Polka, Noelle, and, off-screen, but I will mention her, was also Suisse. And, like, these were just the ones that had, like, stands. Mortgage versus watermelon, choose wisely. I mean, honestly, though, yeah. It's like, I could buy a flat, or I could have, like, fruit. Oh. But yeah, where was it? Oh yeah, the Hololive stuff. So, there's this little pop-up shop, there had some, like, standees you can go and have some photos with that was cool. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of very talented girls here, and I couldn't possibly, out of this bunch pick a favorite or anything. Polka. But yeah, so I did some shopping around in there. I didn't actually buy much from there, to be fair. I just a lot of time looking around at it. Yeah, I did, like, hold on, I'll go back to the, I'll go back to the polka pick. I didn't actually buy much in this place. I think I just got, like, one print. Because there weren't a lot for, the main Hololive streamers that I, like, follow through clips. I don't really, like, watch a lot of full streams, because I do not have the attention span for it, like, for sitting through an entire one. Nor the time nowadays, to be fair. But there are certain ones that I will always appreciate a clip for, or a bit of edited content in Polka's case, because Legend of Polka is cool. We like a bit of Legend of Polka here. And yeah, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I bought a print and then we moved on to Don Quixote, which is a huge, very mad kind of shop in Japan. It's got several, like, kind of branches about. And it is essentially like each Don Quixote. Don't know what it has to do with the classic work of literature. I don't think a penguin featured in that at all. But yeah, for some reason, you know, Don Quixote, or as it gets shortened to, and as I will now be calling it from now on because I love the shortening, just simply Donkey. Yeah, it's like 10 to 11 floors of, like, mildly sorted, just fucking everything. So, like, they will have a floor that says, oh, this is the toys floor. And they're not wrong, but, like, they will have, like, you know, on the same floor, just, like, a bit about, like, here's a bunch of, like, Pokemon plushies. And then literally, like, not even 1 meter away from it, like, next door to it, like, next couple of shelves over, just, like, and here's the Tenga section, because sex toys also count as toys. And it's just like, oh. Oh, okay. So, like, you're trying to find stuff in there, and it's just, it's a real, like, you know, 10 to 11 floors of fuck around and find out, essentially. I mean, not that I'm complaining. I got a good couple of things from Donkey. Like, I got a day pack from there that is the only reason I got half the things that I managed to carry back home, because I bought a lot of shit. But, yeah, it's a mad shop. And I've got another photo of said penguin mascot just looming over the buildings menacingly, which I thought was pretty funny. If Don Quixote had a penguin main character, I would totally read the book. Honestly, same, yeah. I agree with that sentiment. But yeah, so anyway, there is the menacing donkey penguin. I was about to say donkey pengy for a second. That's not quite right. So anyway, for dinner that night, well, I say for dinner, we had, again, big lunch with that curry stuff. So we wanted something slightly lighter for dinner. We went down, ooh, that's... Hold up. Oh, my PowerPoint was wigging out for a second there. Now, I forget what the official name of this is. It was like Omoide something. Or at least, judging by the kanji there, it's Omoide something. Like, Omoide Yoko... I can't work out what that last one is. But yeah, it's this Omoide Alley, is what I'm going to call it. Probably wrong. But it's this kind of, it's this couple of narrow alleys in central Tokyo, so Shinjuku. Kind of like their answer to Golden Guy, but it's all restaurants instead of bars. So you have a bunch of these, like, really tiny restaurants that serve, stuff. The unofficial nickname, which I remember very well, was, this place was just called Piss Alley. Because apparently when it was first constructed, they tried to fit so many bars in it that no one thought about maybe putting toilets in it anywhere. So, like, you would go there and you'd be like, I need the toilet. But there is nowhere to go without walking, like, to the nearest station, essentially. So, yeah, people would go and do that, but, like, it got the nickname Piss Alley anyway, just to kind of, like, make fun of the fact that it had no toilets. They have since put toilets in it. But yeah, a colourful bit of backstory for you on that one. So yeah, we found a small bar in there. I had a shrimp, which I didn't photograph, and some gyoza. Love me some gyoza. Which I did. And then we went back to Shinjuku Golden Gai, because love that place. And I believe I went up to... where was it? Oh, yeah, I remember this place now, yeah. So this was a blues-themed bar in... let me change the photo over. There we are. This was a blues-themed bar in Golden Gai. You can see, again, like, these tiny little bars. My man, well, technically Yoichi, but liked to be called Johnny. Oh, at the back of the bar there was a proper class act. Kept the sake coming all night, so, was, a good sport in trying to humor my, getting progressively worse Japanese, the more I drank. But yeah, this place was such a vibe. There were, honestly, a lot of Golden Gai bars. Like, you can find more chill ones, but ones like this, I think, where you have the most fun. Like, as I've said previously, go to Golden Gai if you go to Japan. Get some drinks there. Lovely place. Yeah, had some drinks there. Went to bed. And then got up the next day for, the final day in Tokyo for a bit. Day 5. Now let me switch over that music again. Where are we gonna go? Let's do this. Yeah, I think this works. So, day 5. We got up and we were moving out to kind of a place called Shimoyoshida near Mount Fuji in the afternoon. So we thought, we'll make use of our morning. Like, we're not going to do a full shopping run in Akihabara now, but we'll have a scout round, see where the good places are. Now, the Don Quixote in Akihabara has an entire Miku section. For those of you who are on tenterhooks waiting for that word, Miku mentioned. But yeah, there was a lot of various different Miku merch in here. I particularly love these, like, kind of the small fat plushies. that you get down the bottom here. These things are great. And on the screen at the top, actually, I should mention, they were just playing Miku songs. So, like, I turned around a corner in this donkey, and I was just hit by, like, thank you music, da 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 da. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I'm home. This is where I belong. That was great. I hung around there a lot while my friend, like, checked out the rest of the shop. Yeah. Also in this Miku section, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Hey, y'all want some Miku brand whey protein? Because you can buy it here. Just get ripped with Miku. That's a thing I didn't know I needed, but sure, I'm happy it exists. Oh. Yeah, this was very silly. And then we also did some scouting around for some of the other shops in Akihabara. Most of my figure shots I'm going to point out here are not ones I bought. They're ones I kind of wish that I had room for, but obviously because we were doing this trip in like backpacks essentially, so I did not have room for many figures at all. Like I think I managed to buy gym motivation for the Miku stands. Exactly, yeah. Like I think I managed to buy about 1 or 2 figures, and then the rest were just like, I wish I could buy this, but I have no room. So see, for example, all of these really cool pop-up parade Fire Emblem houses figures. It's like, what I would have given for a fucking Claude. Or the amount of, like, money I would have unironically spent for this Kaiba figure. Look how fucking sick that is, but there was no way I was getting it home, but I was like, but it's so fucking cool. Look at it. Oh, here we are. Fire Emblem Days Awake again. Oh. But yeah, this is a sick Kaiba. And, Mimi, one for you potentially here. Look at this fucking Elfelt. Look at this fucking Elfelt from Guilty Gear. It's, so cool. And I'm literally... I still need to play Fire Emblem 3 Houses. It's a good game. Like, I played it when it came out, and I've been meaning to do, like, a second playthrough at some point. Yeah, never get around to it. I'm leaving my room. Oh. There we are. There we are. Sorry, I've been reading chat for a bit. Elfelt mentioned. Oh, yeah, but, like, I wish I could get this. Like, 22,000 yen, not even an issue. It's an Elfelt figure. Oh. But yeah, so there's... Fire Emblem mentioned Days neurons activated. Yeah, I think I did quite well, actually. Something for everyone in that little section. Shame I couldn't bring any of it back because of space. Oh, neuron singular, my bad. Oh, God. But, yeah, it's God. A lot of these figure photos are like, I got some good figures. At least, you know, a couple of them. But next time I'm coming back, I don't care if I'm, you know, just hostling it again or whatever. I'm bringing a big-ass fucking suitcase. It's coming with me empty, and it's going back full of figures. And no one can stop me. Oh. But yeah, so only after that little scout round Akihabara, we got on a bus to Shima Yoshida. And you get a little bit of the way out of Tokyo, and bam! Entirely different scenery. It's all naturey and stuff. And yeah, this is actually a very pleasant ride, and also the bus is air-conditioned, which is a godsend. And yeah, also, I got some photos of this cool hill, which is nice, I guess. You know, no biggie. Just certified hill photographer. Got a couple more of it, actually. So, But before I explain these next to you, in fact, I'll get to the wide shot where I've got another, and I'll kind of explain what this area is. So we were staying in this little B&B place, called B&B Step House. I believe Google Maps also lists it as Pension Step House for some reason, but like, I don't really know why. This place called the B&B Step House. Our man, Ryota, who runs that place, you know, spoke a decent bit of English. He was like, oh, you know, let me know when you get off the bus down here. I'll drive down, I'll come pick you up, and I'll take you back to the B&B. And we were like, sick, thank you. So, you know, we get there, we chat with him a bit, and he's like, so, have you guys seen Fuji yet? And we're like, no, you know, we'll maybe try and go and see it, you know, more clearly tomorrow. And he was like, ooh, well, in case you didn't know, Fuji is like normally completely covered in cloud. Like it said about, of all the people who go and try and photograph Fuji, something insane like 90% don't actually get to see the summit because it's covered in cloud. So while you're down here, I'll take you to this nice like spot next to a lake where you can get some really good shots of it while it's clear. Go nuts. And the man wasn't fucking lying. So he drove us down there. He was like, yeah, just let me know when you're done. I'll come pick you up. So I got this. And also, might be my favorite shot of the entire trip. This just kind of like Fuji in the background, sunset, this nice lake. Like, fucking 11 out of 10 shot, if I do say so myself. Loved that. So, you know, we got that. I'm like, oh, thanks, Ryota, man. You know, it's like, Ryota-san, arigatou gozaimasu, all that kind of stuff. So I was still trying to, you know, speak Japanese where I could. And then, so we got chatting to him again. He was like, oh, is there anything else you guys wanted to do while we were down here? And we're like, well, you know, we haven't hit up an onsen yet. So we thought that might be, you know, a good thing to do. And he's like, oh, no worries. I will just drive you there. And my dad happens to be like, you know, going in at about the same time. So he'll show you, you know, he'll show you the ropes there. He'll show you how to work like the little vending machine you buy tickets from and like some of the etiquette and that. So we were like, sweet, cool. So we, you know, we get driven to this onsen by Ryota, and again he says, you know, just like, I'll be back at the B&B, give us a text when you're done, and I'll come pick you up. So we went to this onsen, which I got a photo of from the outside for hopefully obvious reasons. As soon as my PowerPoint wants to catch up. There we go. But yeah, this onsen is probably my single favorite moment of the entire trip. Because, like, picture this, obviously, you know. Onsens, for those of you who don't know, are Japanese bathhouses, you know. You strip down, you shower off, you get in, like, this nice hot bath. It's great. This particular one had, like, 3 different kind of baths. It had a hot one, which is where I spent most of my time. It had this cold one, where if you started feeling, you know, a bit like, Ryota-san is easily my favorite person on this trip. Like, Tuna Blowtorch guy was number 3. Ryota is number 1. Number 2 we'll get to once we hit Osaka. Ryota is actually like a god among men, and I will hear no slander against his good name. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, this onsen, which is like my favorite bit of the trip. So I had this hot bath where, you know, you sit in it and you're like, it's brilliant. You had kind of like a cold bath next to it, where like if you sat in the hot bath for too long, obviously you'd start getting like dizzy and stuff. Cause that's they keep them very hot in there, like that happens. So you can go and sit in the cold bath for 5 minutes, and that would kind of like help equalize you. And also it was just kind of actually very refreshing after the hot bath. And then they had this other bath that was outside. And it was just, because it was outside, like, it was just kind of warm. But also because it was outside, you got this fantastic view of, like, the surrounding, you know, like, forests and, like, mountains in the evening. And just sitting in that kind of, like, the warm outside bath. Well, the bathtub's... No, they're not quite swimming pool size, but they're kind of, like, on that kind of scale. Because it's not like a tub, it's like a big communal bath. And on the subject of that, actually, because we were around kind of, I guess, there's a couple of different sides to Fuji. There's like a significantly more touristy one that's got a bunch of hotels and views. It's all very expensive. But we obviously, you know, went out on a limb, went for this little kind of like B&B place. But you can tell around this side of the mountain was where a lot of the Japanese people, you know, like, go for their holidaying, essentially. Which means they're really not used to seeing white people around there. So, like, me and my friend would, like, get into the bath, or, like, particularly in the warm outside bit, which was, like, packed. We'd make a motion to get in, and, like, 6 Japanese people would just get up and get out. Which was great for us, because we were, like, sick free seats, but it also was like, alright then. Just like, I mean, this works for us, but I don't think, you know, I'm not 100% convinced that they were all just being polite. Maybe they were. You know, I don't want to assume anything. Because it was still a fantastic experience down there. And obviously Ryota lives around there, and he is, you know, a saint. So, I will hear no bad words against the, you know, the man or any of his, or, you know, anyone else down there. But it was a little suspicious, shall we say. Now, but yeah, anyway, this onsen, probably the best part of the trip. Like, fantastic. Did a couple of other onsen-y related things after that. None of them hit nearly as well as this one. Like, that view, the outdoor bath, I could have stayed in there for, like, hours. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And then, we had this, you know, great hour and a bit, I think, in the baths. We called up Ryota-san, he came and picked us up. He was like, hey, so are you guys hungry? Because I know this, like, pretty good restaurant selling some, like, you know, local specialties that I can just drive you to and pick you up at again. Because he once again comes through and comes in clutch. Like, this man is, there's, you know, like, this is advanced customer service. We paid for, you know, a room in a B&B, and this man has become our personal Uber, showing us all the best bits in the area. You gotta hook me up with Ryota if I go to Japan. Absolutely. Like, I will sing the praises of that B&B step house near Fuji, like, till my dying day. Because obviously, like, we got to the actual, well, I'll explain that bit later, but first off, dinner. We had this kind of stuff. It was this weird kind of, like, mixed veg, and, like, I had, like, chicken offal, which is, like, all the bits of chicken that don't normally get cooked, so, like, you know, like, neck and other stuff. And my friend had, like, this kind of pork offal thing in broth. He loved his pork offal thing. He was like, fantastic. I was like, this is okay, but not really my cup of tea. You know, I respect it. I'm not sure I'm fully with it. But yeah, that was dinner there anyway. And then we got back to the actual B&B finally, because Ryota-san came and picked us up again after tea. Yeah, it took us back to the B&B. And it was really cute, you know, it was like, it's a little family-run business. So there was, like, he was obviously doing a lot of this. His dad was helping out, his mom was helping out. He had a little display case where, like, you could buy jewelry that was all made by his girlfriend. It was super cute. Like, I loved that place. And also, we had, oh, pictures have been weird again. The next morning for breakfast, had this kind of traditional style Japanese breakfast. Now let me switch music again so that people don't get sick of that. I think we'll go with this. Oh, it's a bit more dark and ominous than I thought it would be. Ah, no, it's fine. Okay. But yeah, so this is like a traditional, well, not really a super traditional Japanese breakfast, but it's in the style of, where you have a lot of small plates of stuff, and you get to eat them. Now, while I appreciate the effort that goes into the set meals, and this was, yeah, easily the best set meal I think I had, I just, like, something about me, like, when I imagine, like, a piece of, you know, a piece of food, I want something that I'm going to be able to, just, like, you know, I want a bowl of something, or a plate of something, that I can just shove in my face, essentially. I don't want to micromanage, like, 7 different things. I don't want to turn my eating experience into a management sim. Particularly if, like, I'm going to get a lot of small plates, I'm only going to like some of them. It's like, I'd rather just one big thing that I know I like. So this was good, don't get me wrong. Best set meal we've had on the trip. And we went to some expensive set meal places. But still just not sure I'm a huge fan of the whole set meal thing. But yeah, so, so anyway, what's the do what there? Yeah, so we, finished our breakfast. Like, thanked Ryota and his, you know, family so much for all of the help and for making that bit of the trip as amazing as it was. And then, yeah, we kind of moved off and we were waiting for buses to get down to Mishima so we could get the Shinkansen from there to Osaka. This was kind of like a view of the surrounding area in kind of near Shimojishida where we were staying. It's very picturesque down there, and it's also very, like, small town. So, like, me and my friend had this kind of, like, you know, we were walking up to this place, and we saw, like, kind of, you know, one of those walking buses full of, you know, like, kind of school kids and that. And again, like I said, I think round that side of the mountain, they're really not used to white people. So, like, all the kids kind of, like, gave us a look and were like, what the f... You know, like, you know, they're all kind of little, like, primary school age kids. And they were like, what the hell? And then my friend just went like, oh, hayao gozaimasu. And then they were all like, once he'd said that and he spoke a bit of Japanese to them, they were all like super cheering, like, oh, hayao gozaimasu, like back and all that. And yeah, they were all like super excited. And it was just a really wholesome moment. Like, oh, no photos of it, obviously. So I'm not going to like photograph random kids. But, yeah, like, it was a really cool moment, a really cool story. Kind of around this area. And then we had getting buses from here, which was a bit more of a pain because, yeah, if you don't read Japanese, well, if you don't read a lot of Japanese, so, like, I can read some. My kanji ain't so great, my place names, which are all written in kanji, you know, consequently, aren't so great. So trying to find a bus to, like, a certain station, which maybe gets a train to Mishima and, you know, work stuff out from there, was kind of difficult. Particularly when the buses only come, like, you know, once every hour and a half. Because once you're this far out in the sticks, you don't have the luxury of, you know, Tokyo's metro, where things come every, like, 3 minutes. And if they're more than 10 seconds late, like, you know, it's considered a bleeding, like, affront to God. So, yeah, we had a hell of a game getting back down to Mishima, but we managed it. We got to Osaka, and we realized we'd made a slight cock-up in the plans, because the place we were going to stay at, we'd only booked from the next day, so we had nowhere to stay that night. So we were like, fuck. Yes, a small cock-up on the planning front. Oh, what we moved to now? No, don't do that. Gotta stop setting this thing to autoplay. You know, I'm actually gonna just... Yeah, we'll put that one on now. Right. So we got there in the evening. We managed to find another, like, place that let us stay a night. In this place called Denden Town. Now, important, like, this is important, right? If you're doing a trip to Japan, and you're going to Osaka, and you have big plans to buy a bunch of figures in Akihabara, I implore you to wait until you've looked around Denden Town. It's like... So, it's like, kind of, it's like Akihabara. There's plenty of nerd, you know, paraphernalia there, for want of a better word. But, honestly, arguably, I'd say the selection there, at least for my interests, was better than it was in Osaka. The only thing about Denden Town is that it's also a lot, grimier. And I don't necessarily mean, like, the streets are unclean or anything. But, I mean, whereas, like, Akihabara will, like, maybe have, you know, the 10th floor of somewhere be, like, you know, somewhere that looks a bit risque, shall we say. Denden Town, you'll be walking down the street and be like, oh, this is a cool figure store. Oh, this is, you know, a cool, you know, like, card game specific, you know, shop. And then you get to the next bit, and it's just like, oh, this is just porn. This is actually a shop that just sells porn. Like, okay, there is, like, I have turned a corner and I am now looking at titties. I need to get out. It's like it's a bit more of a, you know, a bit more of grimy, a bit more of a slap in the face in that respect. But the figure selection there is top notch. So I implore you to give it a look if you're interested in figures and you don't mind dodging through some of the iffier looking stuff, shall we say. Yeah, also in Den Den Town is a Lawson's entirely themed around Dragon Quest. This is why Lawson's is the fucking best. Oh, because this place was excellent. Like there was Dragon Quest on all the walls. There was an entire like stand full of like Dragon Quest plushies and like mugs and glasses and ice cube like molds. This was great. Loved this. Also love me a Lawson's. Dragon Quest, oh my god, yes! Yeah, no, Akira Toriyama knows what he's doing over there. What can I say? But yeah, so after that, we went out to do like a bit of food, and I was like, hey, you know what I wanted to try? I want a Manowar plush. You could, what there were a surprising amount of is like you could get like solid metal, like Dragon Quest, little kind of like figures. So like I was tempted by this like solid metal, like pretty heavy for its size, like King Slime, like little figure thingy. Because it looked really cool. Like I'm sad I didn't have any photos of it, but like, you know, if you want like a metal slime, you can get an actual metal slime or like a metal, like Manowar, or like, you know, metal like night slimes or whatever. Oh, hello. My music's gone. Where's it gone? I'll give that back, please. There we go. But yeah, so after the Dragon Quest Lawson's, going back slightly. We went out to grab some food, and I was like, hey, do you know what I want to try while I'm in Japan? This thing called Tsukimen. Tsukimen is this. So, if you're not familiar with what Tsukimen is, I'm going to assume you're familiar with the concept of a ramen, which is noodles and other stuff in a bowl of broth, all served hot, you know, you eat it up, it's great. Tsukimen is kind of like, Metal King Slime Can't Escape Me Now. True. Yeah. Oh. But yeah, so Tsukimen is kind of like, almost like a deconstructed ramen, where you have a bowl of like, you know, in this case it was like a lot of noodles, a couple of big slices of pork, you know, some eggs which were done just right, and this bowl of like very hot broth. And so all this stuff on the left has been cooked, but like it's been allowed to cool just a bit. So what you essentially do is you take like, you know, you take some of the noodles and some of the you know, or some of the pork or the egg or whatever. You like submerge it in this broth for a little bit to like almost reheat. And this broth is like super strong, by the way. Like it's smaller, but it's more concentrated than a ramen broth. Like you dip it in there to like let it reheat a bit, and then you eat it, and it is divine. This is one of the best things I ate all trip. Like highly, highly recommend Tsukimen. Like don't get me wrong, I love a ramen. You know, I'm not one of those people who say, oh, ramen's overdone. No, ramen's done exactly the amount it should be done because it's god tier. But Tsukimen is like S+ god tier or whatever. Like it's the one above that. It's phenomenal. Love this dish. And then yeah, I just got some shots of what else we did in that evening. So there's nothing too special. Like we hit up this darts bar that was kind of cool. We had a bit more of a walk around kind of the area we were in. So up to but not quite up to Dotonbori, which is the big famous bit of Osaka. And yeah, through some of the streets. Again, I'm just trying to go for that kind of neon everything shot. But yes, had a bit of a walk around there. Had a sleep in our temporary accommodation for that night. And then the next day we moved on to where we were actually going to stay in Osaka for like the full period. And once we'd done that, got ourselves a nice kind of like late breakfast, early lunch. on day 7. Have I got any more music? I'm gonna say this one. Yeah, that'll work. So, day 7, this was kind of my latish breakfast. So I had this nice kind of like iced coffee and this croissant with like some smoked salmon and a little bit of lettuce and some like smashed avocado on it. Honestly, very good. I can recommend doing croissants like this. Very, yeah, well, very cool, honestly. Not very Japanese, admittedly. But hey, you know what? You need some variety in there on this trip. So after our quite nice breakfast, we went to, I should mention actually, amazing stream so far, Art. Thank you very much. It means a lot, actually, yeah. Glad to know I'm keeping people entertained despite me feeling like I'm stumbling through most of my sentences. But, hey, what can I say? It's been a long first week back at work. Not helped by the fact that I was up till 2 AM yesterday prepping this PowerPoint. Well, 2 AM today, I guess, but you know. Sorry, just went for a drink there, but yeah. Certified it is what it is moment. So, next up after our breakfast, we went to this shrine in Osaka. Cannot remember the name of it at all. It'd probably come back to me if I did some looking up at maps, but I won't, you know, delay that. Something like poignant to note about Osaka is that Tokyo had a range between like 30 to 34 degrees. Like Celsius. Not sure what that is in Fahrenheit for the temperature. Now you're talking while I'm really enjoying it. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you very much. But yeah, so where was I? Oh, Osaka, yeah. So the temperature range in Tokyo was like 30 to 34 degrees Celsius. Osaka, that went up a bit. So we were hitting like 36, 37 degrees. Like we're getting thoroughly uncomfy temperatures. And you can probably see as well, this was a really good day. There's like barely a cloud in the sky. So we went to the shrine and it was cool, but it was hot. So there's like a pretty snazzy photo I got of this like pagoda in the center. Because like this is like a big kind of like shrine complex almost. So there were a lot of little bits to like go and look at as well. And also there's like a wide shot I got of like the inner bit of the shrine. Again, the panoramic shots do not like standing on straight walkways, but I still think this is a decent, Jesus, that's 98 degrees. I will take your word for it, yeah, but, it's too hot. Really. Like, me and my friend were in there, like, in shorts and t-shirts. Like, the lightest things we could wear without being, like, naked, essentially. Absolutely dying, like, having to chug back water and just having to, like, accept that we were going to be moist for the entire day. And then we're walking around this shrine, and we see, and hopefully this comes through, these two gentlemen in full wait, hold on, is this coming through? Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, we see these two gentlemen in full fucking suits and masks in this 37, 38 degree heat, and we're like, my brother in Christ, how are you not like, how do people not die of heat stroke in Japan? I don't understand. How are you doing? What black magic allows you to walk through this heat in, like, heavy suits where I'm dying in shorts and a t-shirt? It's, like, the salarymen there really like, really will show you up. And in fact, a lot of people are in, like, the high fashion stuff, because that's all, like, heavier stuff as well. You just be like, how are you not dead? But yeah, anyway, moving on from, that. We have this section of the shrine, which, I took a Japan DNA, be like, yeah, they do say they just, like, naturally sweat less, or if they do sweat, then it's, like, naturally more odorless, because they don't have that gene or something. I believe that's a thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, yeah. To be fair, you're British. Yeah, true. That's a good point, actually. I am British, so I'm comfortable with it being, like, about, like, between 5 and 12 degrees Celsius. That's kind of, like, the ideal there. More than that, and, like, it gets a bit hot and sticky. Less than that, and it's a bit chilly. I think so. I think I'm on the lower end of that spectrum because I do prefer the cold and winter. Because British houses are designed to keep the heat in, so summer is fucking miserable. Yeah. Where was I? Oh, yeah, this bit. Okay, so this bit of the shrine, which had these. So these are like, I don't know their official term, so I'm going to just call them like kind of, they're almost like religious gnomes. And you could donate like 80,000 yen to the shrine, and they would like put a gnome up and inscribe like your name on it. Which was like, I mean, it's a cool way of getting donations to the shrine, I guess. Just like, hey, do you want a gnome? Yeah, love that. So, after this, me and my friend, you know, we did a bit of more trudging around this, and we were like, okay, it's too hot. We need to find something indoors to do where there's aircon, because we're dying out here. So my friend said, hey, why don't we go and try and see the aquarium that's in Osaka? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm down for that. So we go to this aquarium, we get there, and there's like a 3-hour queue to get in, and we're like, fuck, we're not waiting through that. So we'll just go and see what was in like the surrounding areas. And we landed on what I can only describe as the fucking comedy gold mine. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a weird-ass poster shop where for some reason the thing, like, the gimmick with all these posters was it'd be a famous character and next to them a quote that they had absolutely never said. So, take, my personal favourite and the one I'm showing off here. Bart Simpson with his famous line, Christmas is a time when people of all religions come together to worship Jesus Christ. You know, that thing he famously says a lot. Dude, I was fucking dying in the shop for like half an hour. Just like, what the fuck? Huh? Just like, it was just quotes of like famous characters, famous people. Tag yourself, I'm Mickey Iron Man. Oh. Honestly, I quite like the like, I don't know what it is, but like Cyclops thing that just says, I won't calm down, I'm stressed. Like, big mood. But yeah, the quotes on these things are wild. And it was just like, it was famous characters, it was famous people all across the walls with stuff they'd absolutely never once said. But, yeah, had a good bit of fun in there. And, also managed to go to some arcades around there. And your boy won a crane game. He won a fucking Vox Akuma plushie. Please ignore the fact I was aiming for the Ike that was tilted over behind him. But still, I got a Vox Akuma plushie, which I'm very happy with. Yeah, that's the only thing I won in a crane game, because normally they're like notoriously hard to do. But yeah, it worked. It worked. And then what else happened that day? I remember now. Yeah. So we were messing around in this arcade and in the funny like shops and that, having a good time, and then I remembered, oh wait, it's the 11th I think of August. I have something important I need to do. So what we did is, instead of having a proper dinner, I just grabbed some takoyaki. Now, I'm going to say something kind of controversial here. Takoyaki is, takoyaki is good, but I think it's overhyped. I'll be honest. I think the hype behind takoyaki itself is nice, but it doesn't live up to its hype. It's not bad. I will happily eat it. But there are other things, you know? It's a dough ball with a bit of octopus in the middle with some nice, you know, sauces and bonito flakes, I think they're called, across the top. It's fine. But, like, this serving of 6 that I had for, like, a kind of late lunch slash, you know, substitute dinner was about as many as I would have wanted. And I wouldn't want any for, like, the next while. I don't think there are, oh my god, you have to have these and you'll love them and you want them all the time kind of thing. Like some people seem to think they are. But yeah, so the very important thing that I was alluding to, just for those of you in the back there, Miku mentioned. Oh, hold on. As soon as my bloody slideshow, there we go. So I went to Magical Mirai 2023 in Osaka for that night. It is hyped as hell in anime and games there, yeah, and honestly, like, it's good, but it's not all that. Like, by all means, try it, because it is good. But, you know, be prepared that, like, it's a humble bit of street food. It's not, like, God's gift to man. But yeah, anyway, I went to Magical Mirai 2023. Miku mentioned. Magical Mirai, bro. Oh, and it was... Okay, now I have some thoughts about this Magical Mirai, actually. So, I'll probably... So, the concert itself was that evening. You know, obviously I attended it. It was great. The set, like, you know, like, obviously it was, you know, Miku and all that singing. And they also sung kind of like an early happy birthday to Miku. Which was cool. What I will say, though, I've been to 2 Miku concerts in my life. I've been to Magical Mirai 2023 in Japan. And I've been to the London Miku Expo in 2020. And I've got to admit, out of those 2, I think for the actual performance, like, not... Like, Magical Mirai obviously has other things going for it, but for the actual performance, I got to admit, I preferred the London one. Like, the London one, which I think you can actually find in its entirety on YouTube. Like, obviously, I don't necessarily condone that. I don't, you know, own any of the uploading rights. Please don't sue me, Peer Pro, or, you know, Yamaha, or Krypton, or whichever legal entity wants to come for my cheeks for potentially saying that. But I think that is a thing you can find. But yeah, I think I did prefer the London concert for a couple of reasons. One, for me personally, while this was good at introducing me to a lot of new songs that I potentially hadn't heard of before, the London one had a more solid set list. Like, it fell back on some, I guess, older classics, and I'm an old fogey at this point. You play me the old classics, I'm in there. Like, this one, I think the only real, like, classic that I recognized was, like, Ghost Rule. Whereas London, you know, had, the London one had Rolling Girl by, you know, Wowaka, because they were still doing the Wowaka tributes there. It had, Sweet Magic by Rin. It had, I'm trying to remember now. Oh yeah, they had, Bring It On by Giga, which I guess isn't really a classic, but it was, you know, a big one that I'd heard of. Raspberry Monster was there at the London one. And also, I think it's not just the set lists, though, that differed for me. It was the people there and the concert etiquette. Now, the London one, like, people had the light sticks, they were swinging them everywhere, like, and people, you know, shouting, yelling. Some people, you know, like, grabbing photos, and obviously there's that one guy who literally brought a camera down the fucking front and recorded the entire thing in HD somehow. I love Bring It On. Bring It On is a fucking banger. Like, I love that song. Like, it's definitely up there in my estimation of Rin Len's songs. But yeah. It's like, it wasn't just a set list, but it was, as like I say, it was crowd attitude. So London, people were, like, you know, jumping around, they were having a great time. And when the concert ended, and I think it ended like 5 minutes late anyway, people stood there for like a good 10 minutes chanting like one more song. And then we got that one more song, and that was where Bring It On was. Like, we got the encore. Like, motherfuckers in this Magical Mirai concert in Japan, yeah, their coordination with the penraito or the glow sticks was something to behold. Like, it was fantastic. But this concert, right, here's the kicker for me. Here's the real thing that sealed the deal. This concert finished like 10 minutes earlier than scheduled. Motherfuckers really went arigato and left. It's like, bro, what? You're gonna pay this much for tickets, and if it ends early, you're just gonna leave? Like, people at the London one, they knew what it was fucking about. They knew they weren't getting this for like another 7 years or whatever. So, like, they fucking clamored for another song. Like, the energy was there. Like, the Japanese concert, like, it was incredibly coordinated, but it felt a lot more, not soulless. Soulless is the wrong word. But, like, the energy just wasn't there for me. But Magical Mirai, so that was just the concert bits. What Magical Mirai as a whole had, however, that the London concert didn't have for Miku Expo, was the actual, like, expo bit, like the con hall kind of thing. Now, I made a bit of a cock-up here because I didn't realize that you were meant to go to that before the concert, so I turned up after the arcades just in time for the concert and was like, oh shit, guess I don't have any time to buy anything, whoopsie. Practice? I mean, if it was practice, like, here's the thing. The new song that was, like, released, I think not too long before this concert, Hero, that was made specifically for Magical Mirai 2023, was, like, at this concert. How the fuck was everyone in sync? Like, how the fuck did everyone coordinate that in, like, such a short time scale? Like, you play some of the older songs, fair enough, you know. I assume everyone knows where, like, the beats are on that. Like, actually, the Japanese concert did also have Sankey music in it, and I love that song. And that was kind of great. But, like, you play something like Sankey, yeah, fair enough. But the song had barely been out, like, Hero. Like, how are you going to get everyone to coordinate on that? But yeah, anyway, so the expo bit, which is what I'm trying to kind of wrap back around to, is what I went back to on day 8. And boy, do I have some pictures of that. Because I spent a lot of time there, and I bought a lot of things. Most of my time was spent waiting in queues, which took about 3 hours. And all the, like, this thing took up 3 convention halls. Like, 1 for the actual concert bit, and then 2 for, like, all the expo bit. The queues for the merch stands were so big, they went, like, around this fucking expo hall, around the outside of it, so you had to wait out in the sun, might I add. Well, not, okay, for most of it you didn't actually, it was, like, underneath, like, some stuff, but still, it was outside, it wasn't the air conditioning, it was hot. Like, it went around this fucking expo hall, like, twice, so I had to spend 3 hours in queue to get shit. And I will show you the hall, I think I've got a photo of the hall, and I hope I've included it here. But, yeah. Also, giant Miku statue. Love that. In the hero fit. Which is great. They had this giant chalk wall where, like, if you had any artistic skill, you could just come up and, like, draw, you know, different, like, Peer Pro characters on it, which was cool. They had this selection of Fumos, which I'm so mad because I spent so much time in the first queue getting the official merch. I didn't have time to come back out and grab one of these before they all sold out. But God, I would have loved a fucking, like, Miku Fumo. That would have been sick. And yeah, they had some other arty stuff on, which is, like, very cool. Yeah, so there was a lot of very cool stuff on. Like, they had some panels from some people who, like, obviously made the song, showing how they did it. They had, I'm trying to remember some of the other stuff. They had this stall, I couldn't work out what it was, right? But, okay, old school Vocaloid heads in the room, who aren't necessarily just Miku. You'll know me on this. They had this stand, right, that had Miku next to Gumi, next to Ia, next to, like, either V-Flower or Yukari. I think it was Yukari. Now, I'm no expert, But I'm pretty sure Miku's only been allowed to collab with, like, Gumi on a couple of occasions, because, again, different companies and all that. Iya, I'm pretty sure, got lost in Chinese copyright hell for several years and is basically dead at this point. And Yukari, like, is a kind of one of the very small outlier ones. What were they all doing there? No, exactly. Like, I saw this, and I got a photo of it, and I was like, what the fuck are these guys doing at, like, an official expo? I searched and searched, I couldn't find what the fuck they were doing there. But God, it was, I almost cried seeing them, I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, God, oh, man. Fucking, I loved Aya so much. Like, not even just for, like, Kaga Pro, but because she, like, there's so many good Aya songs, or Ia, however you pronounce it, songs out there. There's so many good ones. Like, fucking, oh. Like, actually one of my favorite, like, Vocaloids. Like, of the more obscure ones. Gumi is my favorite. Gumi is also fucking sick. Had a hairstyle for years. Respect, honestly. Oh, that's great. Like, I loved Gumi. I loved, Ia. I loved Lily. Granted, yes, I did find her through fucking Osu because, you know, Scarlet Rose is a thing. But, also, you know, Samfree did some great work with her. You know, Lily Burning Night. Had a bunch of other, like, really good, songs. I'm trying to remember now. Like, I think Blood Arrow was always really good. I'm using the English translated titles, so that's kind of what I did. I know too many Lloyd's prides like V5. Lily, yes! Someone knows. Oh. I don't remember some of the other ones I used to listen to a lot now. Like outside of the main Peer Pro ones, obviously. I think there was like Aoki Lapis, which I quite liked because she always did really chill songs. Yukari I did a little bit, but like not too much. You know, I think that was like my main selection, to be fair. But, yeah, good times. But like, I just saw some ones that weren't like the main, you know, 5 or 6. Depending on whether you count Rinlen as like separate ones. Yeah, outside the main 6, we'll say. Oh, no, I forgot about Mayu, actually, yeah. No, Mayu hits. I feel like there's not too many good, like, or at least that I found, because they're quite hard to find. I didn't find too many, like, properly good Mayu songs, but good Mayu songs fucking slap. Yeah. Like, the fact that her range as well can go from, like, the super, like, you know, like, trying to remember, like, what were the names of the 2 songs? It was, like, you know, had the super kind of, like, dark, edgy, like, Corpse Princess ones, and then she could just jump straight into, like, Love Logic, and do, like, the super upbeat, like, fucking thing. Is like, damn, that's just impressive. But anyway, sort of moving on. My haul from the concert, so I got myself a new cap. I got myself a Magical Mirai Osaka t-shirt. I got myself a copy of the album. I got myself a free pin. I got a kind of smaller t-shirt for... I'll find some for you. Yeah, thanks. Dude, hey, keep them coming my way. I've been meaning to, like, rejig my Vocaloid playlist for a while now, because, like, there's some I downloaded, like, years and years and years ago, and they're, like, really bad quality. Okay, thanks to stream, I'll take a break from my iPod players and listen to Vocaloid. Pico hard to use, but he's my son. Also make a drink. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, so where was I? Oh, yeah, so I got, yeah, so cap, album, pin, t-shirt for me. T-shirt for, I've got, like, one of my relatives' friend's daughter, set, like, basically I got a request saying, like, hey, they've, like, you know, they're really into this thing called Miku. Is there any chance while you're in Japan you can go find them? It's like, yeah, I'm going to the expo. I think I've got it covered. So I got them this t-shirt. And actually I did end up getting like a second copy of the album from Tower Records. for them. Things to do in Shibuya, by the way. Tower Records is a fucking sick shop. I actually spent so much in there. Because I got, like, another version of the Miku album. I got Jigoku 6, which is Calliope Mori's new album. I got Still Stella by Hosimachi Suisei. I got a special edition, like, Zutamayo thing. I kind of wanted to go back at some point because there was Nujabes, who had an album out. If you don't know who they are, they did Shiki no Uta, which is like the ED, I want to say, for Samurai Champloo. Iconic track. Kind of wanted to get that. And there was something else I wanted to get there as well, but I forgot what it was. It might come back to me. But yeah, and then the other thing in this haul, down the bottom right here, is this kind of big, like, Hayori kind of thing. So it's this, like, big, kind of like a thin, like, it actually kind of looks a bit like the kind of cloak on my model, actually. So if I switch to, very briefly, to the long version, wait for that to update. Yeah, so it's like, it's a less almost kind of like a less tattered version of this, but like, obviously just got like a huge fucking Miku on the back. And yeah, it goes kind of hard. Let me just switch that back. Yeah, so very happy with my haul. Very happy it was all flat enough to fit in a suitcase. Not in a suitcase, in a backpack even as well. Loved that. So anyway, after that, I believe I met up with my friends who had, once again, while I was at the concert, decided to go on a massive night out. So I kind of like got back, woke them up and said, hey, do you want food? And we went to, there we are, this tempura place. And had a whole load of fried stuff. So we had fried, you know, some of the more obvious things you expect to have in tempura. So we had, you know, tempura shrimp, which was great, and some other bits of tempura fish. And some tempura chicken. What is a Miku? Oh my, yeah, literally. My relative who was explaining this to me was like, yeah, I think she's into this thing called like a Hatsune Miku. Do you know who that is? And I'm like, I'm going to the concert, like, for this artist. Yeah, I do. But yeah, so that's kind of where that present came in anyway. And then yeah, so tempura anyway. So I had some of the more obvious tempura stuff. And we also had some, like, kind of out there tempura stuff. So I think this thing on the very left here is, like, a tempura, like, giant mushroom type thing. And there was also, like, tempura pumpkin. There's, like, kind of, like, battered pumpkin almost. And they were really nice. Like, a lot of my friends didn't rate this, but I actually really liked it. Yeah, so, next slide. So we then went kind of and looked around Osaka, as a whole. So we found this thing. Which, again, you have to excuse the volume on it, but hopefully it comes through. But it's like, it's a message board made entirely of water. So just by controlling when different, like, water drops come down, it makes, like, different patterns. So you'll probably see it in a minute. It'll start, like... So you can see, like... It, like, drops different water and it, like, shows the time. Which is super cool. I've also just realized we've been in Osaka for ages and I haven't updated the old text. A classic staple of the stream. But yeah, this was a very cool thing. And then we thought, so we were kind of in the area of, like, the main Osaka station. And we were like, oh, there's, like, a whole, like, station town here. And there's a Pokemon Center. Oh, excuse me. There's a Pokemon Center. Maybe we should go have a look at that. So, we tried to. And then there was a 3-hour queue for it. So we were like, ah, sod that. What we did instead was, we went to the Capcom shop next door. And this place was very cool. There was a lot of cool stuff in there. They had... I'm trying to remember some stuff now. In fact, hold on. I've got Oh, I don't have the picture of it, damn. Yeah. So they had, like, decks of cards that were all based around fighting game characters. They had, like, Resident Evil stuff. So they had these, like, red herb and green herb packets that were, like, stuff you put in your bath or something. That was really cool. They had a giant-ass, like, replica, like, Monster Hunter weapon. They had a lot of little beanies of different characters, so I bought a little beanie Morrigan. Like, look at her. She approach. There were a lot of very cool stuff in there. I can recommend the Capcom shop. There was also a Nintendo one next door, which I took a photo of from the outside, but did not go in because, again, just several hour wait. I'm feeling a bit of a music change. Just a sec. I know it's not the end of a day yet, but, you know what? I am feeling it. Yeah. In small Morrigan. Let's try this. Yeah, that'll do. So anyway, after looking around those various shops and almost losing my friend in one that was like a pop-up Gundam shop because he was super into Gundam. We kind of went outside. And we were like, oh hey, there's the Umeda Sky Tower nearby. Should go have a look at that. So we kind of wandered over there. Walked past a couple of these interesting little sculptures around the station. There was this green, like, giant green bear for some reason. Like, spat water. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And also this, like, super pretty, like, kind of, like, stone lady there. I like this. This is very cool. It's also not I think a hairstyle you see very often in Japan, or the, like, cheek piercings, either. So that was super cool to see. No idea what it was about, but, hey. So then, anyway, we got to the top of the Umeda Sky Tower, and we started taking some pictures. And we noticed something. So this is one of the pictures I took from the top of the Umeda Sky Tower. Beautiful cityscape, right? Just fantastic there. However, there's something very ominous about this picture. You may notice if you look kind of like on the horizon line, starting from the left. But like, yeah, it's you know, it's mostly clear. And then on the right, it seems to be this point where it just goes all kind of grey, almost like the clouds are kind of dropped down a bit. I did a bit of looking into that. That's a typhoon. I got hit by a fucking typhoon while I was in Japan. And in fact, I've got a wide-angle shot that shows it kind of quite nicely as well. Again, really didn't like the straight balcony, but you can see, you know, kind of like, nice clear sky until you get to this kind of bit on the right where it just looks like the clouds have fucking dropped, and it's like, oh no. Wait, hold up. So yeah. That was, mildly terrifying, just kind of watching that roll in from the top of a skyscraper. Oh, indeed. Yeah, but we were like, I'm sure it'll be fine, you know. Japan calls this typhoon season. They probably know what they're doing. It'll all work out. Did anything get destroyed? Not much, to be fair. I think the worst we had was, like, there was some bamboo on the, that had fallen down onto, like, the tracks of some of the Shinkansen. But other than that, I don't think, well, at least not in the bits we were in, there were any major damages. I do think some areas that we weren't in got, like, fucked up pretty bad, but yeah, there was again, it's a typhoon that's literally hit directly, like, dead center of Osaka where we were staying. In fact, there's an image later that kind of captures that a bit more, but for now, let's just enjoy the view, hey? We got this kind of picture from the top of the tower still of, like, the sun setting over the horizon of Osaka, which was really cool. And then, so, you know, we did that. We kind of went back to our place we were staying at, freshened up a bit, decided to go out for the evening. So we walked through Osaka at night, which is an experience. First place we happened across is this place. Well, More specifically, the area below it, but like I wanted to point out the kind of American flag here and the sign for it. This is a place in Osaka known as Amerikamura, where you can buy a lot of kind of like, you know, quote-unquote American goods for dirt cheap, but it's also like where all the cool kids in Osaka hang out, essentially. It's a very strange place, but also very cool. I can recommend, you know, giving it a little wander around. There's some cool shops there. American flag. Oh, America spotted, yeah. There's a place literally called Amerikamura. Oh. But yeah, so once we kind of had a bit of a look around there, we got onto, finally, Dotonbori proper, which is, if you've ever seen like the pictures or the videos of like the huge river with a shitload of neon stuff and a shitload of like people in it, yeah, that's the one. That's the one we went to, featuring the famous Glyco Running Man. Yeah, this place was mental. The most mental thing about it, so obviously this is all built like on of, you know, this is either side of a river. But all the bridges over them, for some reason, I've not yet been able to establish why, but for some reason, every bridge in Dotonbori has 2 or 3 people dressed as Spider-Man on like the railings, just kind of wandering around. I've yet to be able to decipher why, but they fucking love Spider-Man there. But yeah. So anyway, that was some bits of Dotonbori. We did a lot that night, actually. I believe we, yeah, we had some kind of like skewers that were allegedly Wagyu beef. I'm not sure whether they were, but they were nice enough skewers. There. We had a boat tour around the river, which I can definitely recommend if you can find it. Doubly good for us because it also meant that like we were under the cover of the boat when the shower, shower happened. It's like, you know, just a light rain shower, but basically, it started just as we were getting on the boat, and it stopped just as we were getting off, so we dodged it completely. But also the boat tour was, you know, like, kind of pretty cool. We, you know, ate some of the food. We got to see the famous Dotonbori sign. Yeah, it was a good night out, honestly. And then as we were walking back, this is a kind of a question for the wider chat in general. I don't know what this was about, but in front of some of the shops, we saw this. Like, full water bottles that have been arranged in these patterns. Can someone explain this to me? I've never heard of this. Like, I don't know what significance it is, but I saw it, and I don't get it. Like, is it... It can't be, like, flood prevention or something, because, like, this is patterned. What is this meant to stop or do? I don't get it. And why full bottles of water? Yeah. It was an odd one. It's an odd one. But yeah, after that night out, where are we up to? Day 9. We went back to Dotonbori in the day, so there's the Glyco Man again. Had a bit of a wander around there. Visited some of the places that we thought might look nice last time, including we did some conveyor belt sushi, which I've got to say was fucking gorgeous. Loved this stuff. And it was run on a really clever system as well. So in case you guys don't know how like conveyor belt sushi, well, I'm not sure normally because we only went to this conveyor belt sushi place, but how this conveyor belt sushi place is that, like, they had different plates of sushi on different colored plates. And the way it would work is that, like, you take, you know, whatever sushi you think looked nice, and each different plate would have a different, like, cost associated to it. So you'd keep your plates, like, as you, ate stuff. And then when it came time to pay the bill, you literally just bring your plates to the cashier and they tot up the amount you pay. Which is kind of a clever system. Known as Nekoyoki, the bottles are apparently there to stop cats from doing their business. The feeling is that light would break through the water and act as a mirror or kaleidoscope which would turn scary. Oh, it's to stop cats pissing in front of it. Oh, okay. Huh. That's genuinely very enlightening. Thank you, Day. That's yeah, that's super cool. But again, it also kind of like shows the trust Japanese people have in people. Because like, you try this stuff in England, those bottles are getting nicked and or pissed on by people. But like, you know, Japan apparently, they're just trusted to, you know, leave it alone. And it does get left alone. You know, it's like... Excuse me. It's a society I haven't quite got my head around, but definitely a very interesting one. Right. So, anyway, conveyor belt sushi. Loved it. Only problem with it is that you had, obviously, so you had all these plates coming in. You're like, oh yeah, I'll try a bit of this, and I'll try a bit of that, and I'll try a bit of this as well. But like, that also looks good, so I'll have a bit of that. And then kind of before you realize it, you're like, you know, your plate stacked super high, and you're like, oh, I'm like fucking $3 grand in debt now, whoops. Oh. Yeah, it's very easy to spend a lot of these places because you're just trying different bits of stuff. Also tried sea urchin sushi at this place, and I'll be honest, it is okay. It is not necessarily worth the price when you can just get some good tuna. But yeah, something I can say I have done now. I have eaten raw sea urchin, and it's all right. There was one expensive one that was like cod. No, not cod roe. I think it was like maybe it was cod roe actually. I'm not sure, but it was like roe and caviar. That was fantastic. But yeah, the sea urchin. I'm not sure. I'd take it over just some of the nice like tuna or salmon or yellowfin, which I think is what these three are. Yeah. Also had to get a photo of this dude, this clown, I'm not sure if he is a clown or not, but this gentleman is a famous kind of like Osaka figure, I guess. He pops up a lot around Osaka, as does the Glyco Man. It's a very like, you know, it's the mascot of Osaka, I guess. And I've just seen the next photo. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have a revolutionary new food idea to pitch to you. You've heard of the hot dog, which is a sausage in a bun most of the time. I'm not really sure. Apparently every different place in America has a different definition of what a hot dog is, but to my understanding it's a sausage in a bun with some other stuff on it, which is apparently closer to the New York version, but like any Americans in chat, feel free to tell me I'm talking out my ass there, or if that's true. But anyway, yeah, you've heard of the hot dog. May I present to you the cold dog, which is a hot dog bun, but with Japanese breads. The bread's way sweeter, with ice cream in the middle. And it is fucking excellent. Like, call me a heretic, this thing slaps. If you're gonna be in Osaka, you're gonna be near Dotonbori. I think there's a place near Amerikamura that does them. You gotta try one. Just trust. Trust. These things are so good, and they have no reason why they should be. Oh. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you got some people who would try it out in chat, and yeah, like I said, I can highly recommend, particularly for only 500 yen. It's like, that is, unironically, really nice. But yeah, so anyway, after our wandering around here, our next stop was the famous Osaka Castle. Sweetbread with ice cream? I know, right? It's an experience. Because most bread in Japan is like not bread as we'd know it. It's this very kind of like sweet stuff. Cause it's closer to, you know, what they'd call pan than it is bread. Even though pan translates as bread, which is a bit weird. But like they're separate entities in my mind. As an avid bread enjoyer who gets through about like 4 rounds a day, like no questions asked. But yeah, and where was I? Bread. Oh yeah, Osaka Castle. Yeah, I got some nice shots of that. It was raining, but the rain actually kind of helped capture like some really nice shots of this that I didn't get too many that were at great angle, but like looking at it at least, like you could see all the rainwater running off the roof in like very specific directions. And that was you know, that was really pretty to look at. We didn't get to go inside because we got there slightly too late in the day. And I'm trying to remember why. Oh yeah, I believe we were a little bit panicked because we saw this at our hostel. And you're like, oh no, that is we are in the center of where the typhoon's going to be tomorrow. I really hope this doesn't fuck with our travel plans. Spoiler alert, it fucked with our travel plans. All the trains were down for the next day. Which, was a bit of a yikes. But, yeah, this is, this is something. And, I will bring it up again later, because my friends decided to do something that, well, yeah, no, you know, I'm just gonna explain it in full in a minute. But first, I have to introduce you to, I've mentioned Ryota-san, who's my first, you know, the absolute guardian angel in Japan. I've mentioned, Mr. Tuna Skewers guy with the blowtorches, who's definitely a lovely guy to be around. In slot number 3. Slot number 2. We found this place that did okonomiyaki, right? This little restaurant place, like a couple of stories tall. Did okonomiyaki, which, in case you don't know what it is, it's essentially like a big fucking omelet that like Osaka's famous for. There was this one woman running this like restaurant entirely by herself. And she was absolutely like fucking mad as a box of frogs. And I loved her energy. She was just so happy to be doing what she was doing. And she had all these like little daft little posters up everywhere. And also the okonomiyaki, which is this stuff here, was really good. But yeah, you take like a sweep around this place, and like all the walls, like she'd hold on, there we are. All the walls she'd like let people doodle on. So obviously I actually zoomed in on the fucking sus bit. So, like you had these walls like full of this kind of stuff. And she had this thing where like she had this thing, I'm trying to remember how it worked now, but like you essentially like paid like 200 or 300 yen. It's like about $2. And she would just let you go into this fully stocked fucking like liquor cabinet and you could make any cocktail you want. Like if you wanted to, you could just fucking fill like you could just fill like a pint glass with like a bottle of $30, you know, like $30 whiskey or something and just leave. Like no one did because she was so nice and just like you wouldn't do that to Shiho. So me and my friend made some like kind of wacky cocktails with like lychee and like passion fruit and like melon and, you know, all the kind of weird like flavored liqueurs that we don't normally see. And like, you know, Coke and rum and other stuff. Which were all really nice. And we took them upstairs. We had this fucking absolutely banging, but quite heavy, but fucking great okonomiyaki. This place was all vegan, by the way. One of the few places we saw that was all vegan because fucking Shio's just nice with it like that. And yeah, the vibes in this place were immaculate. This is, again, one of my favorite experiences in Japan. Not necessarily because the food was outstanding. Like, the food was great. But, like, what completed the experience was just Shiho and her vibes and the entire atmosphere of the place. She was the loveliest fucking little woman. Like, oh. And, like, I could fill this presentation with like 50 other pictures of like little kind of cutesy things Shio had up. But it's another thing I can highly recommend if anyone's in Osaka. Just go to this place. I I forget exactly what it's called, but it's pretty obvious. It's a fucking, like, bright yellow building that looks like it's been... Well, it looks like it's had its sign hand painted on. It's because it has, because, like, Shio's been up down the ladder fucking spray painting the outside of this building to, like, have a shop name on it. And it's so... this place felt like such a labor of love that she was so happy to be in. I loved it. I loved it. And then, so we did a bit of, after this, we did a bit more walking around Den Town, because we thought we may as well show our mate who turned up in Osaka. It turned up after the first day. Some of the stuff we saw there. And prepare for Volume 2 of Figures I Wish I Could Have Bought, because holy shit, look at this cool Slifer. Look at him. You have no idea how badly I wanted a good Yu-Gi-Oh figure. Like, we had the Kaiba that was fucking sick with the blue eyes. We've got this Slifer, or this Obelisk, which was cool. Or this Winged Dragon of Ra. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. But, yeah, we did a bit of walking around. I bought, like, a jacket, I think, from one of the shops. And then was like, okay, I'm feeling tired. There's a typhoon apparently coming in tomorrow. I'm just going to get back to the hostel. My dumbass fucking friends go, cool, we're going to go out drinking. And that they did. And they came back to me the next day, completely fucking drenched because they'd been out drinking in a typhoon. In, like, you know, one of the fucking strongest, you know, a storm so strong it gets its own natural disaster name. I don't know what possessed them. But boy, they did it. And, as I said, because of the typhoon and all the bamboo on the tracks and that, every train was cancelled. So, day 10 consisted of us being holed up in a hotel room because our booking at the place we were staying in, the hostel, had expired. Because, obviously, we didn't plan to be there. The typhoon had trapped us in Osaka for an extra day. So, because it was still pissing it down outside, pretty heavily, we were holed up in a hotel room. So, all I really have to commemorate day 10, oh, there we go, is this picture of one of the ready meals from, like 7-Eleven. Which was this, like, bunch of pork in the top, and there was some noodles in the bottom, and then you mix them through. And it was pretty good. You can't go wrong with the Konbini meals. But, like, it was just us sitting in a room, vibing to different, like, music. Which, to be fair, I think, honestly, it was a really good rest day after all, like, the kind of running round we'd done between Tokyo and Fuji and Osaka. But, yeah. That was all I've got for day 10. And it's also where I think I'm going to leave off for today. Because this stream's almost gone 3 hours already. Turns out I cannot cut this talk down to less than 6 hours. Whoops. So, anyway. I guess, expect a part 2, next week. I'll have a part 2 earlier next week, and then other than that, I want to do a bit more Street Fighter next week as well, get back into that. I want to play a bit more Honda, I think. Because it's been a while since I've touched the lad. Amazing stream there, thank you. Thank you very much. But yeah, I'll be doing another one of this next week. I'll probably be doing a bit more Street Fighter next week. Maybe I boot up the old RimWorld save again, that's a shout. Or maybe I do something different. I have downloaded Baldur's Gate, and I've been playing that a lot off stream. I'm not sure whether I want to play it on stream, but it's a possibility. But yeah, I think that'll do me for now anyway. So, thank you all very much for watching. I've been Artorias Winchester, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.